It's another day here on the AM show to serve you and the country. My name is Sweetie Abochi. Welcome to the 8th August 2024 edition of the AM show. And I do this with Benjamin Akakpo. This morning, what do we have in store for you? We'll start by serving you the AM news, the first news bulletin on the channel. And then we'll get into our news review segment where we discuss the stories that resonate with you and I. To do that, we have lawyer Enoch Afua-Akwa from the NPP communications team and Shamima Muslim from the NDC communication team. They'll be joining us to get into the various news stories captured in the papers. And then Muftar Nabil Abdullahi will serve you AM Sports, the latest chronicles from the world of sports. Now, big stories begin. But today being a Thursday, we'll start with AM Exclusive. And we'll engage the Executive Director of the Environmental Protection Agency, Dr. John Kingsley Krugu, on a wide range of issues concerning our environment and why we need to protect it. I'm sure your environment concerns you, so you don't want to miss that conversation. And then the Finance Minister has been saying something. Dr. Amin Adam says a painful domestic debt exchange program was necessary to avert unimaginable consequences for the economy. Hence, Ghanaians should forgive the government as they've now turned the corner and headed for some 15% targeted inflation by the end of the year. That is a reduction from the 22% or so to 15%. What does this really mean for the nation? More so, the locked-up investment holders forum will continue to picket the Finance Ministry for their locked-up funds. And is the 15% targeted inflation really plausible for this election year? We will interrogate these issues and many more coming up on the AM show. So join us with your comments and your thoughts, either via our phones when we open the phone lines or across all social media platforms at Joy News on TV. Welcome aboard the AM show. Let's start with the AM news.
Good morning. It's Thursday. My name is Denise Apomaije. Welcome aboard to AM News. Now, we begin from the UK, where Ghana's High Commission in the country has assured that no Ghanaian has been attacked in the violent anti-immigrant protests sweeping across the United Kingdom. Protests first broke out last week after an anti-immigrant campaign stoked outrage over a stabbing attack that left 3 children dead in Southport. Now, the BBC has reported that at least 400 persons have been arrested so far, with 1 person jailed. Ghanaians living in the UK have raised concerns over their safety, especially as protests are intensifying in London on Wednesday. Now, first, listen to my colleague with the BBC, Daniel Dazi, reporting that at least 6,000 security officers have been deployed to contain the situation.
So currently, there's a general state of readiness. We've been speaking to the police, and our sources tell us that they're expecting about 100 incidents, not just in London, but across the country, in terms of the anti-migrant protests. And then there will also be some 30 counter-protests to what is happening. They've deployed about 6,000 officers to basically show visibility and be there, of course, to quell any disturbances.
Well, Ghana's High Commissioner to the UK, Papa Owusu-Ankoma, has assured that no Ghanaian has been caught up in the protest.
No, certainly not. I mean, it's not as large-scale as people may think. It's rather isolated, except that it seems as if it's organized nationwide through social media by some extremist groups who are taking advantage of the frustration of some citizens of the UK and trying to promote ethnic animosity against minorities. I don't think any individuals or groups have been attacked warranting the intervention of any mission. No. I mean, these are quite isolated, even though it's calculated. And the media coverage has also then heightened, let's say, people's apprehension about these things escalating. But I dare say that, well, it will turn around in the next few days.
Let's now move to politics. The opposition National Democratic Congress is accusing the flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, of double standards in the fight against corruption. Now, the NDC claims that a company allegedly belonging to the vice president's brother has received government contracts amounting to 218 million cedis through sole sourcing. More in this report.
The NDC contends that Dr. Bawumia, who has previously criticized sole sourcing, is now benefiting from it. The opposition party argues that this is a clear case of hypocrisy and double standards, undermining his public stance on transparency and accountability in government procurement. According to the NDC, the company in question is purportedly owned by a brother of Dr. Bawumia and has been awarded 5 contracts at an inflated price of 218 million cedis.
Contrary to his holier than thou rhetorics on the subject of sole sourcing in government procurement while in opposition, Bawumia today is the biggest promoter and beneficiary of sole sourcing. As we speak, sole sourcing has become the norm and the most preferred method of procurement for several dubious contracts awarded to relatives and cronies of the Vice President Alhaji Bawumia. Amount were colossal 218 million Ghana cedis, equivalent to 2.18 trillion old Ghana cedis.
The NDC has assured that, if elected as president, John Mahama will tackle corruption head-on and prosecute persons found culpable of embezzling state funds.
As you may be aware, ladies and gentlemen, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has promised that he will confront the canker of corruption head-on by ensuring that the sword of accountability cuts both ways. He has promised to hold members of this corrupt Akufo-Addo Bawumia NPP government accountable for all their corrupt acts. So, fellow countrymen and women, you can be rest assured that under the next NDC Mahama government, these sleazy, illegal, and inflated sole source contracts will be investigated and the Japadiate thieves prosecuted.
The party added that a vote for John Mahama is a vote for fighting corruption and the introduction of a 24-hour economic policy that will offer decent, well-paying jobs for the country's teeming unemployed youth.
From politics, let's move into the road sector. At the Mile 7 runabout, drivers are navigating more than just turns. They are dodging crater-sized potholes. These gaping road hazards are causing major traffic jams and wreaking havoc on vehicles, turning a simple commute into a daily obstacle course. Now, my colleague Jacqueline Ansomayeboa has more in this report.
The Mile 7 road, a crucial artery for commuters from Taifa, Amasaman, Pokwase and its environs, has deteriorated into a hazardous path with gaping potholes. Well, just as you can see behind me, right all the way from New Plan and even from ABC getting to Mile 7 roundabout is a vehicular traffic as at around 4:30, 5 p.m. that we were here. Even before 3 p.m. when we got here, there was vehicular traffic on this path. Well, we are here to speak to people who often use this route and people who stay around and even drivers to find out how this is affecting their livelihoods.
For the pothole size, I'll mostly complain about the pothole size because most of the time the cars, they speed, and then maybe because if there's a pothole there, you could see that as a tire can pass through there, maybe there will be a splash in the tire. Or most of the time, because of the rainfalls, when the rainfall, you know that how the cars will speed, it takes a short way because the speed doesn't come, because they will have to limit in such a way that they won't overgo, because the pothole is really disturbing.
So now, you said earlier that you've been here for 7 years. Now 7 years, have you observed any accidents as a result of these potholes?
Yes, please. I've observed one at the Best Point side, because at that time I was crossing and there was a car that was also coming towards me, So before that pothole, the tire nearly burst.
So you nearly threw the car off?
Yes, please.
The road is not good at all. Sometimes it causes traffic on the road. Even for you to cross the road, it's very bad, actually, yes. So far, what I know about this road is very bad. So we please the government to come and do it for us immediately. That's us.
Now, what about you? This road, the runabout with the potholes coming all the way from, because I could see that was even earlier around 2. When I got to ABC, that was when the traffic started. But this is like 4, 5. And how does this affect you?
Okay, it causes a lot of traffic. Even 5, by now 6, 7, you see that the traffic gets worse and worse. It causes a lot of delays and stuff. When you get here early in the morning there is a lot of traffic here because of the potholes. But a lot of cars have to slow down so that they can make their way out.
The potholes are the main cause of traffic here. If they can help repair the roads, the traffic will be reduced. The potholes also sometimes damage the underside of my car. We have repeatedly reported the potholes at the roundabout, but no one has addressed the issue. When it rains or even at night, these potholes cause severe traffic jams, sometimes extending all the way to Achimota. We are tired of complaining and we are urgently requesting for your assistance.
Well, just as you can see behind me is the vehicular traffic coming all the way from New Plan. Earlier it started at ABC, and this side is a free road. So as soon as you get to the runabout at mile 7 and you bypass and come forward a little bit, the traffic ceases. Just as we spoke to people who stay around and commuters, they shared with us how this is affecting their lives, and some calling on the government to come and help fix this road. This gaping potholes has been spoiling cars, and some complain about the fact that it even results in accidents. Reporting for Joy News, I am Jacqueline Ansuma Yeboah.
Well, some aggrieved staff of the produce buying company, PBC, stormed the head office in Accra, demanding payment of their 12 to 14-month salary arrears. Now, some staff members, now forced to ask for alms and borrow to survive, are calling on the government to sack the current management and probe their activities. My colleague Michael Ashali was there and now reports.
Scores of angry staff of produce buying company picketing the head office of PBC. They are concerned they haven't been paid for at least 12 months. They also allege that the current management has run down the company. Vice chairman of the pressure group, Seth Eduset, says they have had enough.
For the past 14 months, some 12 months, some 14 months, we haven't received salaries. We have other issues from today and even up to the end of this month. He should call off this management. We can't work with them. So boy, they took this company from where we were having a market share of 30.8%, and now we are completely flat with 0%. Now we're stretched over 7 years. We haven't received both PF1, PF2. In addition to unpaid salary for the past 14 months and others 12 months.
Some of the affected staff say they have resorted to begging for alms and loans to survive.
Yeah, living on friends and families, to be borrowing and be owing. I do farming and stuff like that to keep up myself.
Some of us are seriously taken by surprise, so we need to be calling on friends and families and all that. We have become absolutely beggars.
Our children are now at home. We've not paid their school fees. They are demanding it from us. Our landlords are also evicting us.
The group has given government 1 month to deliver on their demands. Chairman of the pressure group, Frederick Kwame Boachi, says they will escalate their actions if their demands are not met.
In the first place, they have to put this management aside so that investigation should go on. Because our management is the cause of our problem.
But how long are you giving government to intervene?
In fact, with immediate effect, at least by the end of this month, if they don't come to our aid, in fact, there will be a commotion, brutal commotion in this country. We don't fear anything.
We were told management was not available when we attempted to get a response from them.
The aggrieved staff have now given government, parliament and management of PBC 1 month, that is the end of August, to address all their concerns or incur their wrath. For Joy News, Michael Ashale.
Moving on, the Vice-Chancellor of Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology has emphasized the need for intentionality in the training of students by education stakeholders. Speaking at the inaugural graduation of Andelin School in Ejiso Krapa, Professor Mrs. Rita Akosua-Dixon believes it's crucial in cultivating transformative leaders. There's more in the following report.
The challenge that we have as Andelin School, as teachers, as directors of the school, and as you parents, is that a huge responsibility is entrusted to us. This future that we see, we will have to account for that future. And I love the motto of Andelin School, developing what? Tomorrow's leaders today. Developing tomorrow's leaders today, and that is exactly what it is. The tomorrow we want depends on what we are doing today.
The graduation event featured poetry recitals, language presentations, drama and choreography. Mrs. Evelyn Boateng, CEO of Andelin School, expressed satisfaction with the steady progress in student infrastructure development at the school. She thanked the parents and staff for their numerous sacrifices and revealed plans to enhance moral and technological education.
Together with Edify Ghana, an international NGO established to improve and expand Christ-centered education, we have a more structured plan of improving morality of our learners. With effect from September this year, we hope to implement a hybrid curriculum with development by integrating traditional and digital learning resources to prepare our learners for the challenges and opportunities of modern education. This means more hands-on practical learning.
David Abisiabe, chairman of the Ejiso Municipal branch of the Ghana National Association of Private Schools, noted the negative impact of students frequently moving between private schools due to unpaid tuition fees.
When they owe school fees from their previous schools and they move to another private school without paying the outstanding money, it is an unfortunate situation, and that is affecting a lot of private schools. In fact, we've had situations where parents hop from one school to the other. Say, for example, the child starts class 1 from school A, class 2, they move to another school till they finish, primary school. So by the time they get to primary 6, they would have been to about 4 or 5 or even more schools. And that is purely because parents are refusing to pay school fees. You see, but what parents don't know is that it affects the child's development.
Reporting for Joy News, Kwesi Debra.
Now, away from education, some metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies in the Ashanti region are waiting in earnest to receive their promised road construction equipment under the government's District Road Improvement Program. President Akufo-Addo last week unveiled a fleet of over 2,000 units of equipment under the initiative that is aimed at decentralizing road projects to be carried out by the government in the over 261 assemblies across the country. But chief executives of Swami and Oforiko municipalities in the Ashanti region say they are yet to be handed their equipment for road projects in their communities. More in this report.
Under the District Road Improvement Program, the Metropolitan, Municipal and District Assemblies are expected to receive essential earth-moving equipment such as caterpillars, bulldozers and concrete mixers for roadworks in their localities. Funded through the District Assembly Common Fund, the initiative is meant to patch up and smoothen deplorable roads across the country. After the unveiling in Accra, a number of assemblies in the Ashanti region, including the Swami and Oforiko municipalities, are yet to be handed the equipment. Chief Executive for the Oforiko Municipal, Abraham Kwame Entry, spoke on Love FM.
No, as I speak, no. In fact, at the launch of the program, it was announced that after the launch, these equipment will begin to be transported to various locations. We have asked and specific date and time. However, the distribution is ongoing. We expect that with time, ours will also get to us. But as to whether tomorrow, Friday, Monday, that specific answer I haven't gotten yet.
As the general elections beckon, the local assemblies are eagerly awaiting the equipment to reshape deplorable and untarred road networks. Abraham Entry shares plans for the road construction works in the Oforiko municipality.
We have an inventory of all these road networks. We know the areas that require this maintenance activity. The next thing is that I also said that areas like Bomso do not even necessarily need it. The other factor we have to consider is probably if you get to Emena Atiedu Wedi Kokobin, there is a major contractor doing some work there.
MCE for Swami, Maxwell Ofosu, is optimistic the equipment would reduce financial burden of hiring and facilitate construction of roads in every nook and cranny of the municipality.
But once we are going to have these machines, every corner of the municipal assembly will be covered. Every corner. Because you see, what costs the assembly so much is the hiring of those machines.
Love News understands distribution of the equipment has begun in municipalities in the outskirts of the cities. For Joy News, my name is Emmanuel Bright Kweku.
It's now time for business updates with Sweetie Abochi.
Let's get into some business stories, starting with oil exploration firm Tullow Oil. Ended the first 6 months of this year with a revenue picking up marginally. However, profit after tax saw some significant jump to reach $196 million and in June this year. More in this report.
Tullow Oil's revenue ended June 2027 $7 million. However, that amount in 2024 dropped to $759 million. But when it comes to the profit after tax, it went up by $73 million in the first 6 months of the last year to reach $196 million. Capital expenditure for half year also stood at $157 million, representing some significant increase over what it spent in the same period for last year. The oil exploration firm also paid $368 million in taxes on its operations, representing a significant jump compared to the $217 million it paid last year. The group chief executive of Tullow described the first half of the year as an exciting one based on the strong growth recorded in most areas of operations. He also added that all the key financial metrics improved significantly compared to the first half of 2023. This success was fueled by higher production and oil prices compared with lower expenditure in the first 6 months of this year.
The business community has backed moves by the Bank of Ghana to sanitize and maintain sanity in the financial sector following the sanctioning of 47 individuals and some 245 business entities for issuing debt checks. These individuals and businesses have also been barred from accessing new credit facilities from financial institutions. They also risk imprisonment of up to 5 years for indulging in that illegal act. Speaking to Joy Business, President of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Clement Osei-Amwako, stressed the need for the private sector to ensure credibility is maintained in the financial sector.
You have a check. You must know that it is money. You don't go out and see whether the check will go through or not. But once you have a check and there's credibility, there's confidence, you know that this check is going to go through. So it can help you to plan. not to create problem for you in your future transactions. So for me, I feel that the credibility is there and the confidence will be there. And so we treat checks as money going forward. If you don't have money, don't issue checks. Go in and negotiate with clients and build the trust. And that would be the best thing for private sector to reach. All those who have been issuing that checks are not credible to it, most of them. And so banks even want to build trust with their customers. And so if you don't have the credibility, it even helps the bank not to give loans to customers who might not even pay and end up being a bad loan. You know, then that also does not help the chain of credit creation to go through. So for me, everything that Bank of Ghana have said in this transaction is BOJ, GOG, etc. 2024-19, as I have it here. I think that I'm in support of that. The private sector must change our attitude and do business based on trust.
Now let's go for some updates in the currency market. And that's it for business updates. Denisia Pomeje takes over and she'll be telling us what's coming up next. Over to you, Denisia.
Up next is the news review. You want to stay for that conversation? Well, my name is Denisia Pomeje and from Sweetie, and I have a lovely day.
Welcome aboard the news review segment on the AM show. Right before I introduce my guest, a gentle reminder that the segment is always brought to you by Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. Take advantage of the free prostate screening and free fertility screening for women that they're offering at their various locations. Here in Accra, they're on the Spintex Road, opposite the Shell signboard. In Kumasi, you can find them at Kronuma Buenya behind the Angel Educational Complex. In Takrady Anaji Estate, in Tema Community 22, in Techiman Hanswa, in Esiama in Zima. Here are their call lines 0244-867-068 or 0274-234-321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. This morning in the studio with me is Shamima Muslim from the NDC Communication team. Along the line, I will introduce my second guest to you, who's not here with us at the moment, but we have to get into the papers now. Good morning, Shamima. Welcome to the
Good morning, sweetie.
Thank
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
No, it's my first time, actually.
It's a pleasure
being on the AM show as a panelist.
Yes. Well, so what we do on the show, when we have our guests on the news review segment, is to give them a minute or two to reflect or respond or react to any topical issue that they want to share their thoughts with. So what's on your mind this morning?
Well, for me, what's on my mind is the young people of Ghana, because come Monday, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is going to launch the NDC Youth Manifesto. Okay. And the fact that JM is centering the issues of the youth, who apparently form 38% of our population, is very germane. And the fact also that he is very committed to uplifting young people, because truly the future of any country depends on what is happening to its youth. As we heard recently, almost 2 million young people are not in employment, not in education, not in training. that is a recipe for disaster. It is a huge demographic. Africa is going to have the youngest continent within the next decade.
Right.
And that demographic portends positive if we are able to do the right investment, or it will be a threat to the stability of our continent and our nation.
So this youth manifesto contains how he intends to tackle all these issues affecting
yes, the youth of the issues of employment, the youth issues of training, issues of health education, you know, the mental health challenges that today's young person is going through as a result of the internet and Instagram and all of those negative social pressures that are on young people, which is pushing many of them to adopt certain unhealthy lifestyles and behaviors. We're going to comprehensively give hope to the youth of Ghana and invite them in the same breath to join the change train and to ensure we rescue this nation from where it currently is.
All right. Just before we get into the what about the actual campaign manifesto? When will that be?
We will announce the dates as soon as,
okay.
Yes.
All right, so let's start with the Daily Graphic newspaper. On the front page, introduce broad-based toll systems, that is according to the Vice President and flag bearer of the NPP, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, to road sector stakeholders. And then we need $271.7 billion to expand roads. That is according to the Finance Minister. President tightens grip on public lands. Presidential approval now needed for sale or transfer. And then 100,000 farmers benefit from agribusiness projects. This is the Daily Graphic newspaper, and let's get into the stories now. I'll start with this story about the president tightening grips on public lands. I think we read that story also yesterday, that approval has to come through the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources. Cabinet has instructed all public institutions in possession of public lands to desist from selling or transferring them to third parties without authorization from the President. And the directive further advised the public not to enter into contracts with any public institution for the transfer of land which had not been expressly authorized by the President. So this is all efforts towards securing our lands and not giving them away to private individuals. I'll do 3 more stories before I come to you, Shamima.
Right.
Okay, so on the international front, U.S. Embassy set to transition to new visa services. Let me read a bit of that. The U.S. Embassy in Accra has announced a transition to a new visa service provider, which will take effect on August 26, 2024, and will affect access to the current visa service provider's website and services, which will cease operation on August 16th, 2024. So consequently, between 16th and 26th of August, applicants will not be able to make new visa appointments, cancel or reschedule existing appointments, or access customer service. Let's empower women in election management for stronger democracy. And this is an editorial. U.S. to give $414 million in humanitarian aid to Congo. Hamas names October 7 mastermind as new leader. That is also on the international front. And then 100,000 farmers to benefit from agribusiness projects. Let's get into that story. Up to 100,000 smallholder farmers across the country will benefit from an agribusiness project that aims to address persistent high post-harvest losses in the agricultural sector, dubbed Agribusiness for Youth Employment Project. The project seeks to improve the livelihoods and incomes of 100,000 beneficiary farmers by addressing high post-harvest losses in rice, maize, soybean, tomato, onion, and pepper in 11 out of the 16 regions in the country. Clergyman condemns prosperity gospel. The final story I'll do now is introduce broad-based toll systems, and that was the Vice President speaking yesterday. And the Vice President has proposed a broad-based road tolling system to ensure equity. He said there was inequity in the architecture of the road tolling system of the country, as it tended to exclude the wealthier parts of the population. Quote, the current architecture that we have in tolling really tends to exclude even the wealthier parts of the population. So if I live in Cantonment, East Legon, Ridge, which are the high-end neighborhoods, I would not see a toll. But if I live at Kaswa or somewhere else, I'm likely to meet a toll. There seems to be an inequality or inequity in the tolling. I believe that we should look at broad-based tolling to fix that issue. These stories for your quick reflection, and that is the Baumia introducing broad-based toll systems, the president tightening grip on public lands. Then there's that story we did about the U.S. Embassy sets to transition to new visa services. And then I think I touched on the 100,000 farmers to benefit from agribusiness projects.
Long overdue. So am I to read my headlines as well?
No. Your reflections on these stories that...
There are many, so repeat them again. The agribusiness
So what
one.
do you think about the president tightening grip on public lands?
Well, it's too little, too late. No, that's too low. Oh. too little, too late.
Right.
Because it is under his watch that Akufo-Addo has gone on an investigative spree and has brought knowledge to all of us regarding exactly the extent of state capture that we are seeing. And if you throw your mind a little back to the fights, you know, that the La chiefs have been on for the longest time now, demanding that government reverts compulsory acquired lands back to them because, again, of this insistent, you know, appropriation of public lands. The invitation has been made to all of us. Let us agree in principle how to deal with state lands and how not. So I'm just saying that it's a little, it's too little, too late. 7.5 years on. Do you know what I mean? You bolt the stable after the horse has galloped away. That is what we're dealing with. But I am for any conversation any conversation at all regarding the management of state lands. And in principle, I am against government individuals or state, public service actors acquiring state lands and properties for pittance. In principle, we as a nation must quickly determine how we want to proceed on that matter. So, well, it's a welcome news. Let us quickly ensure that we restrict the appropriation of state lands by government actors and state and public service actors as well.
All right. Let me introduce my second guest to you this morning. We've been joined by lawyer Enoch Afo-Akwa, and he's from the NPP communications team. Welcome aboard the news review segment on the AM show.
Yeah, thank you so much. Very good morning to yourself and Shamima.
Good morning. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Right. I like how you just said 9 days. You went into laughing.
I went into laughter.
Why? What's going on here?
But the way he's calm, he's a gentleman.
Yeah.
So I know we are going to have a calm conversation.
Oh, we are going to have a very
Some of them have been dirtying themselves on social media too much, you know. So I just, we should really, I passionately think that it is us that creates the atmosphere of our public discourse. And we must re-engineer it into more productive discourse, civil discourse, disagree passionately, but the way in which we are deteriorating into the gutters and name-calling, and particularly the sexist attack against women, all in a bid to crowd out women's voices from the public sphere. And I'm telling them, and I keep saying that we will not cede the public square to these fringe elements that want to deteriorate the public discourse. We will join them and ensure we lift them up from the doldrums, so we would refocus quickly on building this nation.
And we'll set the tone for the positive, passionate, but fact-based discourse so that they can follow through. But, Mr. Falk, lawyer, Enoch Afo-Akwa, I'll give you a minute to get into, or take us through your thoughts on any topical issue currently that you want to react to. What's on your mind?
Yeah, a lot. I have a lot on my mind. And the issues I have on my mind lingers on what the NDC calls state capture. What is more of state capture than granting a mining lease to a brother, a company related to your brother, at the tail end of your government leaving office? Almost all our bauxite resources were granted to Esteem Cubic. It took the intervention.
Is it a tit for tat?
No, it's not a tit for tat. You see, when we are discussing Ghana and we bring in this matter or these issues of tit for tat, then it narrows the whole issue to political arguments.
You go on. You can leave that out.
So certainly, we are talking about state capture now. You look at former government officials living within the cantonment area, and we know that those cantonment areas were areas that were reserved for government officials. These were state bungalows and the likes. From the PNDC era, we could see some senior state officials, former state officials living within these vicinities. How did they get to live in these vicinities still, having served this nation so many years ago? It means that they purchased those assets for themselves. True or false? And certainly, once this debate lingers on, then certainly we must open up and interrogate. We still have some factories that hitherto belong to the state, that were sold to private individuals, belonging to our affiliated or assigns or alliance of the National Democratic Congress, the SYP, NDC, NDC administration. What amounts to state capture than this? There were over 368 state-owned enterprises that went through the Diversity Implementation Committee, that most of them are now warehouses, that most of them are not working.
Okay. You know,
have we vetted our minds as to who the owners of this, who have operated these state-owned enterprises to themselves through the opaque system of the diversity?
You said what is more state capture than, and then you went on to list all these other issues.
Yes.
So the question I'm asking you, in this term, in this current administration, nearly 8 years now, are you leaving out all the incidents that we are seeing about state capture and government lands and parks and forests?
They don't see it.
I mean, is it really a comparison between who's giving out our lands more?
They never see their failings.
They
never see their failings.
I mean, the president is just tightening. And we just did that story about how president has to approve now before lands are sold or transferred. And that approval has to come through the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources. So I would say that this is a step in the right direction. But Shamima is saying that it's a bit too late. I mean, after all these years in government, if you're now tightening your grip on these issues, then it's coming a bit too late. So can we speak to this issue?
Absolutely. So when you look at the president's statement of tightening, issuing a grip on, or tightens, measures to tighten the release of state lands and those likes, then it means that the government is a listening government because, one, certainly, once it has become a matter of public concern, that the public are contributing immensely to this debate, the president, as the chief executive of this country, the commander-in-chief, must act. And he's showing leadership as far as the discourse of the people of this country are concerned. So certainly, you cannot say that it is too late. At least, better late than never.
Okay.
In as much as the president has protected the national assets, make sure that most of these assets remain the assets of the state, but some through the SYL administration and how they appropriated some of these things to themselves. You remember the Parks and Gardens saga? Elvis Efrianka wrote a letter confirming that they did money for campaign and those kind of things, and that they must release those parcels of land to individuals so they can get some revenue to be able to run their campaigns and those things. What is more state capture than these things? So if the president is acting today and not thinking of the next election of his party, and not thinking of the revenues that his party needs to run or prosecute a campaign agenda, then certainly that it means that the president is acting for and on behalf of the people of this country, and is running the country for the benefit of the state.
Let's do some other stories.
Briefly. You know, it's very convenient, you know, for the NPP to always quickly jump into the fray when issues come up under their watch. Under their watch, it is the new patriotic party under the leadership of Nana Bawumia that told Ghanaians that they had the men and that they were coming to deliver this country from where we were, a Gadgetsburg economy, to a productive one, from taxation to productivity, that they were coming to halt the corruption that was eminent under the government of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. Everything that was the basis of the NPP being voted into power, they have performed worse. Everything. The Afrobarometer report has told us that under His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo, 87% of Ghanaians believe that Ghana is going towards the wrong direction. Yeah. 87%
9 out of 10 people
say that Ghana is heading to the wrong direction. Under the leadership of Nana Bawumia, we are told that 56%, it was 80, it was about 80-something% who didn't think that we should go into military regime. There are more people who now feel that a military regime is an option. Under
it.
His Excellency John Dramani, His Excellency Nana Bawumia, who we were told is the vanguard of democracy and rule of law and accountability, Afrobarometer has found that under his watch, he has increasingly shown heavy-handedness, stifling the media and reducing the effectiveness of accountability institutions.
All right.
Like we saw and we are seeing at the Office of Special Prosecutor. So when they come and we throw evidence at them, Chinia, your own minister, was on air trying to make a lame claim that John Dramani Mahama attempted to buy his official residence at the time when you yourself knew what you had done. He was exposed very badly, and I'm sure my colleague saw it on television when the evidence of his own state capture, buying up state lands in the Sisala district, in Wa. Today there were protests in Wa against the attempts to appropriate the parks and gardens. So the point is that when we recognize wrong, and that is the invitation I made, but what did he do? He went to say that, oh, this was happening, or this has happened in the past. It happened in Nkufo's era. We saw a list of ministers who appropriated state property and bungalows, who bought their official vehicles. It has been a part of our democracy and governance, which personally, he has not told us personally what he thinks about it. I personally have told you here and now, from my work with CSOs, advocating for so many years that this shouldn't be a good governance practice, that people come into power and then use their positions to appropriate our collective resources. I personally am against that. What is his personal decision on it? What is his personal decision on that?
I get you.
MPP wants them to accept responsibility.
Let me come in.
Accept responsibility.
Right. You know, I'll let you reflect a few minutes and then we get into
Chinia is the face of corruption in this government. Sila Dapa is the face of corruption in this government.
You see, when the NDC speaks about corruption, what is the standard? In fact, in the Fourth Republic, let me tell Shamima here that the NDC has proven to be the most corrupt political party.
The facts don't bear you out.
Give us facts.
The facts don't bear you out on that.
The issue is that from 1992 up to today, it is only the formal officials of the NDC that have seen conviction and sentencing within the courts of our country. You talk of the Kwame Pepra scandal. You talk of the Abuga Pele scandal. You talk of the Sednam Tamaklo, recently Sednam Tamaklo's matter, where she took Maslock money, gave it to Obatampa Microfinance in Ejurasiche Dumase without due documentation. When the woman asked of the interest rate and Sednam mentioned that it's over 20-something%, the woman said, we can't pay. We can't make profit. We make losses. Say, bring the money. Bachona, Shell filling station, this woman took the money into her car boot, appropriated it onto herself, never pumped the money back into the accounts of the state.
Similar with
You see, I remember that. Oh, please. Let's have a civil discourse, please.
Go on.
You see, when we talk of corruption, you remember the NCA saga, why over $2 million of Ghanaian taxpayers' money were appropriated onto themselves. You remember the Airbus scandal. You remember the Jibril Kanazure scandal, where the sitting president took for the expedition car at the expense of the interest of the Ghanaian people, awarding contracts to Jibril Kanazure personally, and appropriating for himself personal gifts and personal gains from all these transactions. All these matters came to bear when the new administration came into office and accountability started properly. And you see, when you mention corruption and integrity matters.
Let me interject briefly. So the NDC has had their issues of corruption. The NPB has had their issues of corruption.
The corruption associated. Let's clear this. Let's clear this matter.
I'll give you the chance to speak.
Very well.
So going forward, let's ensure that we are speaking based on facts and how each government or each party is dealing or tackling with these issues as and when they come up. That is the conversation we are having. But because of time, we need to get into some other stories.
I'm coming. So let me land. You gave her a lot of time.
I'll allow our 30 more seconds and then we go.
You see, please, respectfully, you see, when we talk of corruption, has any of the officials of the New Patriotic Party be convicted and sentenced of corruption? So all these matters that they are churning into the public
are you asking
are corruption perception. I'm coming.
Now I understand why they are packing the courts.
I'm coming. I'm coming, please.
You know,
now and
corruption. Facts on factual matters. None from President Kufuor's era
I would
up to this time.
From you if you don't let me moderate this. Please hold for me.
Hold
for me. Let me do one last story and then I'll come back to you. Please cool down. Both of you.
On corruption.
So there's a story here about we need $271.7 billion to expand roads. That is according to the finance minister. And the country needs an estimated $271 billion to achieve its target of expanding road network from about 87,000 kilometers in 2016 to 253,000 kilometers by 2047. And they're seeking some funds from the World Bank. Let me skip to here. The country director of World Bank, Robert Taliasio O'Brien, observed that Ghana had the second largest pipeline for roads in the sub-region and the 38th globally in terms of the US dollar value for all projects. And he commended the country for its efforts in that target. Quote, there is a lot to celebrate on the hard-fought accomplishments, which is the result of sustainable leadership, capable institutions, and important financing flows. I'll give you each 2 minutes to reflect on this story, and then I'll get into your papers. I'll start with
you,
Tina.
Okay. Just, you know, this story that you have mentioned, and before I come, I will use 1 minute of my 2 minutes to address a matter and to speak to Ghanaians directly. I will take a government any day who, under its watch, when issues of corruption against its officials come up, they take action and then bring resolution to the matter. I will take that government any day than a president who has been tagged as the clearing agent. I will take that government any day than the president who appointed a special prosecutor upon his exit told us that our president is the mother serpent of corruption. I will take a government any day under His Excellency John Dramani Mahama when he tells us that under his watch, the accountability will start for members of his own government, not a president who will write a Dear Cecilia letter to a minister who was found hoarding colossal sums of money, over $1 million, that made Ghana a laughingstock across the world. I was in Nigeria when the story broke. Ghana was the butt of all jokes outside the country in so many nations. I would take such a government any day that can bring its own people. So I understand why now this government is so interested in packing the courts, because they know that they are not going to bring anybody found wrong and doing wrong to the courts. This is the government we have been given. This is a far departure from what we were promised. The PDA scandal, they have quickly forgotten. The Ejapadia matter,
we need to invite you for a more extended conversation.
Yes, very conveniently, the litany of corrupt practices. Yes, that's what we are doing. It's just sad that MPP continues to gaslight Ghanaians this way, when the reality and the experience of the administration is in stark contrast to what they promised. They truly came to loot and share. And they have created nothing, because they have collapsed the economy and they have given people haircuts. They are apologizing for their wrongdoings in one breath and telling us that they've not done anything wrong in another breath. What a conundrum. What a conundrum. That's 1 minute. Can I use the 1 minute on the road thing?
No, you did 2 minutes, actually.
Oh, well, the MPP must
I'll come back to you. It's his time now.
Please. Yeah. You see, the New Patriotic Party government is the only government in the Fourth Republic that has constructed more routes. President Akufo-Addo and Baumia's government has constructed more routes and interchanges than any other government in this republic.
And how are those
it's credited for doing so. In fact, between 2017 and 2022, the president, in his State of the Nation address, which is part of the records of Parliament now today, and is open to the Ghanaian people, told the people of this country through Parliament that his administration has constructed over 11,000 kilometers of road, and it is not in dispute. Going forward, fast forward, the people of Ghana need more roads. The president continues to construct more roads for the benefit of the good people of this country. And in touching base with the good people of this country and making all roads motorable for the people of this country to be able to move freely in the discharge of their various duties, and in transporting themselves from one end to the other, decided to introduce this district road improvement project to help the various district assemblies maintain the inner roads, which has not seen the light of day as far as graveling or sealing or asphalting is concerned. And certainly, the president has been magnanimous in providing to every district of this country 7 road maintenance equipment, i.e. water tankers, graders, bulldozers, how do you call this one? Rollets and all the rates that the road construction industry needs in making roads accessible and motorable. And this core is what the president has done to help and ameliorate the concerns of ordinary Ghanaians. So currently in the coming days, we will be seeing much more investment or much more attention on our inner city roads and the like. And the president, in thinking forward, has also thought of raking in more revenue to be able to ensure that the year of roads that he declared years back sees the light of day, so that the country Ghana can construct more roads and more infrastructure.
I have a question.
8 years.
You said we don't have.
I believe you have a civil discussion.
We are having a
you can't do this. You can't do this.
So Mima, I was talking to Sweetie.
No, you can't do this.
Okay. Let's have a conversation.
Please.
He actually landed.
Thank you.
So please, when one person is speaking, let's hear the person out. And then when you have something to say,
yes, ma'am,
you get into it. All right. So you said there are motorable roads. I just want to bring 3 things to your attention. The Tema motorway, the potholes and the manholes that are causing lives and cars to deteriorate, if I should say. And then there's that Dowenya Aplau road, where the contractor kind of disappeared. We've been bringing that the whole week. We've been covering that story. A tractor broke down on that road, and someone was commuting from, I think, Barrier to Dowenya also, and it took 3 hours. Yesterday, one woman told us that she's lost her pension because she had to quit her job because commuting from the house to work is just too cumbersome. Are you sure that this government has ensured, and I'm quoting what you said, has ensured that we have motorable roads all across that 11-kilometer road that you say that they have constructed?
Certainly.
Briefly, and then I'll move on to Shamima.
The road infrastructure or the road network that we have in this country spans over thousands. And once government commits into making sure that over 11,000 kilometers of roads are constructed, means that government is reducing the burden on motorable roads in this country. And certainly, the Aflao road or the Pong road, the Pong-Dowenya stretch of road, the contractor was on site until this financial challenges hit the people of this country.
What financial challenges?
Oh, yes. We went to IMF, and it is open knowledge that it was liquidity matters that we saw the bailout of the IMF to be able to satisfy our country as far as financial resources were concerned. And certainly, it is not the Dowenya-Prampram road that's cost all. Most of the government projects, government roads, absolutely. So certainly, but when the $360 million of the IMF tranche came in, government directed all contractors to go on site, and most of them are on site.
At IMF? That's a conversation for another day.
Another day. When we bring it, we'll not finish
on the road
today.
issue.
So
what are your thoughts?
The editorial of Ghanaian Times reads, Sisala other areas need good roads. Residents of communities along the Tumu-Sakai-Welembele-Wa Road in the Sisala West Municipality of Upper West Region have expressed serious worries about the poor nature of the road and others in the area. They have therefore appealed to the government to give the road a facelift to ease movement of people and goods. You see, the NPP has proven time and time again that they like to preach to us about phantom projects. Which phantom projects, when we go to find them, we don't find them. We all know the state of roads in this country. Inner city roads, community link roads, we know it. And when they even constructed, there's a road where I live. That was, it took so many years. When they finally constructed it, somebody came to dig up the road to build a shop. We hear this person must be influential to be able to dig up a newly constructed road to expand a gutter so that his new shops don't get flooded. That road, that was the beginning of the dilapidation of that road. On the other side of that area that I'm speaking to you about, the road, less than a year after suffering major inconveniences during the construction process, less than a year, I'll tell you this road afterwards. Anybody who applies that Aboba, Abokobi, Pantan, Abokobi road is a witness to what we speak about. When we say we don't have money, when we get the money, because of procurement politics, we deprive the contractor of the necessary resources to construct motorable and better roads. This is the situation. As we speak, they have not paid a lot of contractors. Yeah. You know that.
And they've been trying a lot of road projects.
7.5 years in the making, beauty, before they now tell us that they are implementing a drip project. Ghanaians, see it for what it is. They are attempting to buy your vote. These are the ways. No, yes, you have a right to motorable roads. You have a right to demand that your taxes are used for the purposes for which they are collected.
Shamima,
yes.
You have the Ghanaian Times newspaper.
Yes, I have the Ghanaian Times.
You've already gotten into a story there.
Yes.
But first, tell us the banner story, the stories on the front.
The banner headline, which is also a very important matter because there's been no government in our history that has been as nepotistic as the New Patriotic Party in the ways in which they have shared our collective resources to their friends and family. And the list of members of government who are all filially affiliated to the president is just serious. Malik, Malik has given us the name. I'm not going to sit here and mention names, but we know the truth. The story says security services recruitment. Enlistment must be transparent.
Right.
Only qualified persons have to be recruited for security experts. Why do they have the need to caution for security experts who have been in this country over the years? Why do they have the need to caution? Because of the anglings and doings under the current government. And it reads in some part, 4 security analysts have called for transparency and professionalism in the selection of personnel for various security services following the announcement of an upcoming enlistment. They urged the management of security agencies to guard against political influence, ensuring that only qualified persons are recruited to enforce law and order and discharge other mandates.
That's okay.
They would not have fear for political influence if political influence was not happening with the recruitment. Yes,
has there never been a case during the time of former President John Dramani Mahama where politicians used their power, authority, or influence to get the people they know to be enlisted into these various security agencies, security services?
It is Ghanaians.
Can you say inadvertently that there's never been an issue like that?
Oh, I cannot say that.
Okay. So it is
because
not just
the general issue, the MPP is in government.
Okay.
The MPP has promised us a marked departure from the way things were. Some of those things are historical systemic challenges that we must all address as nations. It is Ghanaians who will be employed into these employment avenues. Because these agencies are some of the agencies that are able to absorb as many. But when you come, you see there's such a thing as a natural order of things, and there's such a thing as an excessive order of things. As it is these gerrymanderings that led the report of Afrobarometer to tell us that this government has been eroding public institutions. And reducing their efficacy. And which are those public institutions? Is the security agencies. It is the judiciary, from the actions we have seen clearly manifest, and from some of the operational commendations contained in the now vexatious Ejapade document, which we are seeing, roll out. We have seen the implementation of these things. So let us listen to the security agencies. Let us be a fair and just and equitable country. Let us not politics drive our every motivation to try to capture this nation.
So, the story is that enlistment must be transparent. You have your take now.
Certainly, equality is equity principle prevails. And I remember during the time of President Mohammed's administration, there was this member of the police council, government appointee to the police council, Reverend Professor, I've forgotten the other names, who was apprehended and I was at the CID headquarters where he was being interrogated on recruitment scams, taking huge sums of money from well-meaning Ghanaians, interested Ghanaians, young people who were interested in serving our country in various security architecture, taking money because of his influence as a member of the police council. What is more derogatory than this? You see, President Akufo-Addo's government believes in the equality is equity principle. And as a lawyer, he believes that transparency, equity must prevail. These are young people. You've seen the advert that was published yesterday or so in the dailies, inviting prospective applicants, especially applicants who patronized the service, or who applied to be enlisted into the various security services in 2021. And these were qualified applicants. Because of the numbers that they were picking, some of these applicants, although they were qualified, were never invited to the final stage of the application. And because they were qualified, this advertisement is inviting these qualified applicants to come because they bought these vouchers to apply. And why must they, as qualified as they are, continue every time, in memoriam, to buy application forms to apply to try their luck, although they are qualified? So now that they are inviting them, that at least first come, first serve, they applied and they were qualified, but because of space matter, because of financial challenges, government could not employ them into the services. They should be the first to be attended to. What is better than this? This is equality, is equity. You see, in our various universities, every time students buy application for, sometimes even nursing applications and those things, people buy 4 or 5 schools because they want to try their luck. You buy Kolebu, you buy Pantine, you buy this because you want to see that, get yourself enrolled. And as a matter of fact, because of this, they spend gracious sums of money in this regard. And once government is using it, it is transparent because government has advertised. Okay. Government is not staying in an opaque manner. Absolutely.
Enlistment process. And we will be monitoring and observing.
Absolutely. Okay. And this is not a government that members of the police council send agents around to extort monies from interested applicants that are willing to be enlisted into the security services and be taking out monies. And I am a witness to Reverend Professor's invitation to the CID headquarters where he was interrogated and he started paying this sums of money.
We have 5 minutes to go. So please, just give me a second. Let's get into your paper, and then if we have time, we can talk about others.
Sure. I like this banner headline. A confirmed ghost chases Mahama. I know he likes a confirmed.
And that's the Daily Guide newspaper.
Yes, that's the Daily Guide newspaper. And it says that a confirmed ghost chases Mahama. You see, the scandalots are confirmed. Let me read a portion that I saw. The confirmed saga refers to a scandalous incident during Mahama's presidency, where guinea fowls allegedly flew out of the country, sparking widespread outrage and ridicule. President Mahama has brought up these discussions again because the ghosts of these are confirmed are chasing his shadows. And no wonder he continues to perpetuate this confirmed ketenkete, mpreko ketenkete, nkukubo ketenkete sort of policy to the people of this country because they knew how they milked this country as a result of this project. This is an SWAS Savannah Development Authority project where the government decided to invest huge sums of monies into supporting the livelihoods of the people up north, where President Mahama came from, where President Mahama hails from. Unfortunately, the afforestation projects that were implemented never saw the light of day. Secondly, the poultry projects, i.e., expanding the frontiers of the guinea fowl production so that the people of the northern region benefit hugely from this project because guinea fowls are mostly reared within the northern belt. And it ended up that government was telling us that these are confirmed of guinea fowls flew out of the borders of our country because the investment that government put in, the millions of Ghana cedis that government put in, and this is not different from the Sednam Tabakulo matter, where over 90-something million Ghana cedis were dissipated just like that. And I believe that it was through these matters that Abu Gapeli and co were incarcerated, and those matters went before the court. So indeed, it's chasing Mahama because of his integrity matters, because of his corrupt character, because of how...
Please.
You see, the NPP is master of contrivance. They contrive a narrative, quickly put a label on it, and they run away with it. 7 years on, after you had made all kinds of allegations.
These guinea fowls actually make it out of the country.
Just look at the absurdity of this matter, which they continue to latch upon because they themselves, by what they have done, to this nation, they cannot hold themselves accountable. So they must run quickly and seek refuge in the contrived narratives and the propaganda, the lies, the framings that was the nature and character of their campaign into power. Is it not this same government, this same people who told us that let me ask you a question. In fact, before that question, let me ask my Esquire whether he's okay with the fact that a contract was awarded, an ambulance contract was awarded to the children of the president. Whether he's okay. Yesterday we were shown how through sole sourcing, which they criticized and told us they were going to depart from, if he's okay that through sole sourcing, colossal contracts were awarded to the brother of the vice president, who is their presidential candidate.
You can add your final words, and I'll come back to you.
My final words are that Ghanaians must know, the NPP, under the leadership of Nana Bawumia and now Bawumia Napo, they've shown us who they are. And in these next elections, we must look at the character, the conduct, and the competence of the people who are seeking to renew their mandates after 8 years in power. Everything that they said they would do, they have departed from. Now they seek refuge in the propaganda of yesteryears against John Dramani Mahama, whom you believed and you voted out.
All right.
They are in power. They ran away from their own mandate to the people of Ghana. Every indicator on which they criticize Mahama, inflation, public borrowing, public debt, corruption, every indicator has collapsed under their watch. Unprecedented. We have seen in this country that pensioners and former Chief Justice crying out and decrying the rot that we are witnessing in this government.
The government
it's
of the New Patriotic Party
they must be voted out of power.
The economy has not collapsed. This economy is recording trade surpluses.
Hey.
In fact, in 2023, over $3.1 billion of trade surplus. In 2022, over 2.1 billion trade surplus. In 2021, over 1.1 billion trade surplus. And in fact, the NDC never recorded trade surplus in their era.
Lies.
Yet. They never recorded trade surplus in their entire 8 years of government, as far as the management of our economy is concerned. Even under COVID, that the IMF were expecting that Ghana, the GDP of Ghana will grow around 1.5%. We surpassed that threshold and grew 2.9%. In 2015, without any externalities, without any difficulty within the external system and the Ghanaian system, the economy of Ghana grew around 3.4%. But even under IMF program, even during COVID and the likes, the Ghanaian economy, our GDP was growing. So it shows that we have performed more better than the NDC as far as economic management is concerned. They come nowhere near.
All right.
Again.
We have to go.
Again.
We are knocking off.
Again, she mentioned that sole sourcing and the likes. Please, is sole sourcing part of the body of laws as far as the Public Procurement Act is concerned?
If yes, the president's brother.
Was there an approval from the Public Procurement Authority authorizing sole sourcing in the procurement of some public goods and services? If it is, then it is not illegal. If it is, it is not illegal.
It was illegal to award Ibrahim Mahama
then it is not illegal.
The double standard.
If it is, then it is not illegal.
No. The finance minister says, mea culpa, through our fault, we are sorry that you experienced economic.
Does he sound like he's sorry? No. Does this man sound like he's sorry?
When you mentioned the finance minister's speech, I was with him.
This man is not sorry for anything.
I'm sorry.
The finance minister pleaded with Ghanaians on the domestic debt exchange program, the painful domestic debt exchange program. And indeed, we are sorry on the domestic debt exchange program. It was painful, but we needed it for the benefit of this economy, for the benefit of our country, for the health of our country. We are sorry.
I don't do that.
You have you both on here again.
You are forced to apologize. You are forced to apologize.
Homeopathic clinic, and they are offering free prostate screening. Ladies and gentlemen, free prostate screening and free fertility screening at their various locations here in Accra. You can find them on the Spintex Road behind the engine. You see, this is what people don't get to see. After this heated conversation, they just high-five each other. So it's all in unity. It's all in the spirit of unity. All right, the sports is coming up next. Do stay.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to AM Sports here with me, Muftau Nabila Abdullah. At 9:35 a.m., Ghana's relay team will be running in Heat 2 alongside Tokyo Olympic silver medalist and bronze medalist, Canada and China. Jamaica, Germany, who finished 4th and 5th, as well, is also in the heat of Ghana, as well as the host nation, France. Ghana must make the top 3 or secure one of the best times to be able to stand a chance of qualifying to the final of the competition. My colleague Fentio Tahiru has been previewing Team Ghana's preparations.
So Thursday morning, Ghana's very last hope of a medal at these Paris 2024 Olympic Games will all come down to the 4x100 meter men's relay team. They're in action at the Stade de France in the heats in the morning session of Thursday. Now the team has been training really well. They had a 10-day pre-competition camp in Strasbourg, and ever since they've been here, all they've been doing is training for the relays, and they've been doing a lot of baton exchange exercises and been trying a few things with the coaches. Coach Andrew particularly keen on stretching the zone, exercises that are focused on Ghana maximizing speed in the exchange, the baton exchange areas. I have picked up information that Saminu will most likely be the one to start Team Ghana off. Remember that he is the newest member of his team, and that it's Husseini Ibrahim, who had been running really well, who was at the World Relays in the Bahamas, where the team qualified for the Olympic Games. But I've picked up information that Samini, who has run and made the semi-finals of the individual 100 meters, will be the one to start off the team, and he would hand over to Botsio, and Azamati would maintain his role on the bend, and then Paul Amoa, of course, would be the one to run the ankle leg. So from all indications, it looks like Team Ghana is very much firmly ready for it. In fact, if there's anything at all that I can report, is that some of the athletes who haven't run the individual race have been a little bit impatient, because imagine they started camping for these Olympic Games more than 20 days ago, and they still have not run a single race. So they'll be more than eager. They're itching, especially Joe Paul and Botsio and Husseini, who have not run individual races. They are itching and very much ready to go on Thursday morning.
And on Friday, Abdul Karim Zito, the head coach of Dreams FC, is our guest here on Prime Take. In the conversation, he says that he did not apply for the position of the Black Stars head coach role because John Krugu is the president of the Ghana Football Association.
When we fail the AFCON and insult all round on Kurt and adding what do you call it, salt upon mini. Then again, they hear Zito has applied for Blaster. Kurt will die. He's a human being. So I decided I don't want him to die, so I have to say no to my own, to the detriment of my life.
But if he was not president, you would have applied?
No, I will have applied. Why not? I qualify. All the criteria they brought, I've qualified. Look, I was into coaching from 88. Even those who brought, those who even brought the criteria, so what do I need again? Look, Coach Ade, Afrani, they all like me when they, you understand me? When they had the Blaster issue. Why? Maxwell had, Tanko had. So if me too, Abba. If it is qualifying, I'll qualify. But this is Ghana for you. You also have to think before you apply for anything you want.
Well, thank you for staying with us. Time now for us to get into our exclusive segment on the show this morning. And we engaged the Executive Director of the Environmental Protection Agency, Dr. John Kingsley Krugu, on a wide range of issues, a swathe of issues concerning our environment and why we need to protect it. We'll be getting into some details with him. A very good morning to you.
Very good morning to you and to all your viewers.
It's been a while, and since you took office, how long has it been again? It's not been that long, but...
No, not that long. I started on March 5th.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's been about, what, five months?
Yeah, thereabouts.
5 months, thereabouts. What has the experience been like? When you took over, there was some commentary, some of us even mentioned that because of your background, it was an apt selection as far as you were concerned.
Yeah.
There are some offices where we have our own concerns, but as far as yours was concerned, we felt it was apt. How have you fared 5 months down the line?
Oh, I think it's been an interesting 5 months to me, a revealing one. The most important is my own discovering and deeper understanding of what the EPA is and what the EPA can do to protect our environment. Most people, previously like me, see the EPA in a different light altogether. And when you get closer, you get to appreciate the central role that the EPA plays in the governance architecture of this country. The fact that the EPA has its leg in every sector of the economy. You know, if you look at from the petrochemical industry to oil and gas to agriculture to the built environment, you know, to anything you can think about, because anything that you are going to do that will have implications for the environment, it means that the EPA has a role. So whether you're going to build your house or you want to cut down a tree near your house, or you want to establish a factory, or you want to import or export any kind of chemical, because any of these will have implications. If you want to construct it in the road, or you want to do any other thing that will have an impact on the environment, the EPA has a role to play. I also got to know that it is quite a technical agency. So with quite some expertise in there, very well-trained professionals, among the best. My directors are providing consultancy services to the UN bodies, to other African countries. Every now and then, I have to receive a delegation from a sister African country. They are coming to learn what the EPA is doing. And the fact that our EPA, we are celebrating 50 years of protecting the environment. And so there has been quite some baseline work that has been done. And that is why I can't wait to see that the EPA has been transitioned from an agency to an authority, and to be able to even bite better and take the needed steps that we need to take to protect the environment. And we have done a lot of work around that, thanks to the pioneering work done by the Honorable Dr. Kokofu, and I came to continue it, and with the support of our Minister for Environment, Science, Technology, Innovation, and the Honorable Ophelia Hayford has come on board, taking up the effort to get the EPA bill passed into law, to make the EPA an authority. The last time Parliament rose, our bill was on the order paper, and for some reasons they could not get to the finish.
You don't know the reasons for which it was not taken on by Parliament?
I think there has been a lot of work. There have been a lot of issues raised. You know, the EPA, an EPA bill, it's also a bill that has implications for almost every sector. And so there are so many issues to deal with, and people have to tick the boxes and look into the clauses carefully. So we have done a lot of work that weekend. The whole weekend we have spent together with colleagues from Attorney General Department to dot the I's and cross the T's and all of that, and to get a new version printed, relayed, and all of that. That happened. So I'm aware that the majority leader request, and I saw in the news that the Speaker has granted that request and is calling Parliament back in early September. And so our bill, if you read the majority leader letter, you will see that our bill is one of the reasons why the majority leader think that made an appeal to the Speaker to recall Parliament so that it can be passed into law. Because
so why is it still in limbo? And when are you expecting that maybe it will see the light of day?
I think it is on the forefront, and when
are you
Parliament
sure? It appears to be on the back burner.
No,
not on the forefront.
No, it's not. If you read the majority leader letter,
yeah, but
it says that we need to recall Parliament back because of ABCD.
Yes, but Parliament did come back, right?
No, they are yet to come back.
Or you're talking of the current.
I'm talking of the.
Okay, I thought you were referring to the previous one where they called Parliament back to do so.
No.
So when then are you expecting?
September 3rd.
September
Parliament. I'd read that the Speaker has called Parliament to come back on September 3rd, and we are looking forward to that. That they would do.
So once Parliament reconvenes, your hope is that the bill will be voted on. It means the processes are now going to start. Is that it?
No, the processes is almost complete.
It's almost complete.
Through first, second reading.
Okay, so those readings have been done. All right.
Considerations, all of it has been done. So we are hoping that when they get to it, they will pass it into law.
Of course, if those have been done, then it facilitates the process. Then it will just have to come to the vote in Parliament and the decision to be arrived at. I have an interesting one for you. Anytime we talk about the EPA and the environment and all of that, one area we often forget is noise. Noise pollution.
Yeah.
There's such a thing as noise pollution.
Yeah.
Does that fall under your purview? If it does, how do you manage noise pollution in the country, not just in Accra? Because you go to different pockets. I go to residential areas sometimes. You have people complaining. It's a residential area, but there's this, get up factory or whatever. Oh, there's this, and with all apologies, pastor here making a lot of noise at night and you can't sleep. There are people with megaphones selling this and that, and it's supposed to be a residential area. What are the noise limitations? Does it fall under your purview?
It does, and some pastors will come after you if you.
Oh, I mean, it's the reality sometimes.
It does fall under our purview. I think that over the years, it's been, the typical Ghanaian attitude that it doesn't matter, we can deal with it. But the EPA has taken the necessary steps.
Which are?
Because this is the first time that the EPA, working together with other stakeholders, has put together regulations, the protocol, the standards that will guide the regulation of noise pollution. And many of those work that has been done now, we are waiting for the bill, because when you do new standards and regulations, and at the same time, you are making a new law, you then make references to the new law. You can't make it to the old one, because when you publish, then you have to do a new one altogether. So many of those works has been done, and we are waiting for the new law to become, the bill to become law, and all of these will be published to guide the public on how to deal with issues of noise. But currently, we do receive complaints, and our technical people go to do an assessment and be able to advise and guide people what kind of gadgets you need to install in your church, for example, to make sure that you contain the sound inside and that it doesn't go out and become noise and affect other people. And all of that, that kind of work has been done. And I think going forward, we would be in a better position to regulate the pollution of noise.
There are also those who may be in nightclubs or pubs also blaring music. But
all of them.
The question then is, are there punitive measures? And are you ready to crack the whip?
Yes.
For those that are recalcitrant, are there punitive measures? Are you ready to crack the whip?
Yes. Yes. I mean, the EPA, the compliance and enforcement has a compliance and enforcement department.
Since you took over, has that department had to crack the whip anywhere?
Yes. If you pay attention, you would see in certain places that, and I have even signed some of those certificates. I came and the Honorable Kokofu had signed them, but they ran short and they came and I signed them. You will see a compliance notice pasted somewhere. It's either stop what you are doing, close down the factory, close down this particular activity. You can't do this. It's put there. And if you don't, in most cases, people comply and they run to EPA to get technical support to deal with whatever. Because the EPA is not there to stop people from doing what they want to do, but to make sure that what you are doing do not have a negative impact on the environment. Yes, I think that is happening. And we think that when we become an authority, we will even be in a better position to crack the whip.
I see. Yeah. So generally, you would say that your work at Post so far has been fruitful, right, over these 5 months?
Very much fruitful, very much. Look, one of the things that I have
just very briefly on that.
Yeah, one of the things I've pushed through, and very soon, I just had a discussion with the minister just last Tuesday to launch a 7-year strategic plan for the agency. When I came on board, this work was going on, but I needed to push it because the last strategic plan ended about 2 or 3 years ago. So there has been a gap, and I needed to push this through so that we can have a new strategic plan for the next 7 years on how the EPA is going to play its critical role in protecting the environment. Very soon that plan is going to be launched. And also another important aspect is the climate change in the educational curriculum. And very soon, we'll also get the minister to formally hand over the curriculum materials to the Ghana Education Services so that we can put climate change education in the school curriculum, and make sure that our children can imbibe that attitude from day one so that it will make it easier for them to play that role of protecting the environment and dealing with climate change going forward.
And you mentioned climate change and everything in between. Definitely, once you talk of climate change, you would also be thinking about forest cover and how we are protecting ourselves. So let's go there now. If you look at what naturally, primary forest and all of that, a few years ago, we were looking at about 7.6 million hectares. Interestingly, in 2022, we lost about 18,000 hectares of primary forest, which was about 70% increment from 2021. And the trend seems to have continued, per the data. This is alarming. At a point years ago, sometime around between 2020 and 2021, we were given warnings that the rate at which we were losing our forest cover was insidious.
Yeah.
It was startling. And we have not let go. The trend seems to be continuing. Couple that with Galamsey, and it's a mess. But let's focus on forest cover. Since you took over, what have you seen? What has been done in respect of, protecting our forest cover?
Yes, so thank you. When it comes to protecting the forest cover, as you know, it is the Forestry Commission that has the mandate to protect the forest cover.
The Ministry for Lands and Natural Resources, Forestry Commission.
For Lands and Natural Resources.
But you have a role, don't you?
When it comes to trees, and
you have a role, don't you?
I'll come to our role. When it comes to trees, those in the urban areas, those in your house in Accra here, you can't cut them without EPA permit. If we catch you cutting one of them, and we ask you to produce the permit.
If you catch them.
Yes, yes. If yes.
How often do you catch them?
If we ask you to produce the permit that allow you to cut a tree, and you can't produce the permit, you'll be in trouble. Now, those trees that are in the forest areas is the Forestry Commission. The role that the EPA can play is if the Ministry of Lands working through the Forestry Commission, grants anybody a permit to go into the forest to do any industrial work, okay? Then that is where the EPA, you need EPA permit, because we want to know that whatever you are going to do in that forest, to what extent is it going to impact on the environment? So for us, we would demand that you get consultants to do environmental impact assessment, bring the report to us, we will review, and then we would demand that you put in impact management plan in place, so that even if there's going to be any impact, we know that there is a plan on how you are going to manage that impact, such that it will not have adverse effect on the environment. So
it sounds very nice how you say it. Do we always follow that pattern that you just put out there? Do we follow it to the letter?
We do follow it to the letter. The problem...
We do?
Yes. The problem you are seeing, if you listen to me carefully, I said that when you are granted a permit by the Ministry of Lands, and you now go in there, you need our permit. Most of the destruction you see in the forest are people who have not been granted, nobody has granted them permit, and they have found themselves into the forest. And in most cases, regulatory agencies may not even be aware. Let me tell you how sometimes Galamsey people operate. They can take their time to discover that there's a particular mineral here. And because of a certain agenda, they can time the process. And maybe one day there's a big national event going on, everybody's attention is out. They can go there just 3 days. They can go and pull down things and uproot everything, and by the time you get to know, they have disappeared. When you have a situation like that, it becomes very difficult. And that when you see that, you may think that, oh, the EPA is not doing its work, or other agencies are not, but that is not the case. Because if you were to pass through the rightful route to obtain a permit, then you will have to come under the regulatory regime, and therefore the EPA will insist. Because the EPA would not permit you without
the question is,
these
Dr.
plans
Krugu,
that I'm talking about.
It's like saying, you know, in every society, you will have criminal elements.
Yeah.
That's why we have the police. You will not say that because people did certain things on the blind side of the police, you can't hold the police responsible for failing to mitigate that criminal situation. The police should find avenues of ensuring that they have eyes everywhere, that they have informants, and that when people perpetrate crime, they are apprehended. That is the work of the Ghana Police Service. So if you tell me this, it's like saying, it's not really our sloppiness. It's just that these people are too slick. They are too quick, and you don't expect them, when they are criminal elements, to come through the formal process. So you should also expect that some of these people outside will do this. It is part of your responsibility, together with the Forestry Commission, the Ministry for Lands and Natural Resources, to also take care of those, is it not?
You're very right. It's actually, if you have followed the development of the new bill, these are some of the contentious areas. The reason why the bill has been in Parliament for a long time...
It's because of some of these, eh?
It's because of some of these, because we at EPA, we think that, for example, if you have a mandate to protect an aspect of the environment, we think that it is not only those who go to destroy that thing that we should hold responsible, but we should also hold you, who has that mandate to do that role, also responsible. The police have those authorities and they have those powers. The EPA doesn't, okay? So in the new bill, if you have followed the conversation, it's exactly what you're talking about, because we think that the EPA, we as a people, we need to recognize and take and identify the EPA as this central government agency that we should all give it the needed powers to be able to protect the environment, as it does in other jurisdictions. You go to the US, you have the EPA board sitting in cabinet. That is how serious they see that, you know, because you need a certain clout to be able to make sure that you hold everybody responsible for protecting the environment. I think we are getting there. I think we all recognize that we need to do things differently. We need to take the issues of protecting the environment much more serious than we've done in the past years. And because we are all at a threat, with existential threat to our very existence on this earth if we don't take the needed steps to protect the environment. So I'm with you in that direction. And I think the ongoing work is heading towards, you know, bringing us to that point where we can hold. And also, more importantly, to also be able to expand the EPA to cover everywhere. The problem we have, the EPA has regional and area offices. Area office means that you have an office that is in one district but in charge of 3-4 districts. There are capacity challenges, you know, to be everywhere, to monitor and be sure that you are up on your game. And those are also issues that, you know, almost every year, and this year we will do again, almost every year we take these matters to the Ministry of Finance and see whether we can get budgetary approval to expand our offices and our scope to be able to cover the entire country. Because if you do not have the strength, the staff strength, then you have to regulate all the way till offshore, and then in what the oil fields and all of that. You have to do all of that. You have to make sure that whatever chemical that is coming in, it's safe for the environment, what is going out. You have to look at all these filling stations all over the country. You have to look. You need a certain level of capacity to do that. And
speaking of that capacity, logistically, in terms of logistics, the human capital, human resource, are you constrained?
We are constrained. We just don't have enough. Because
what's your yearly budget?
If we have enough to, you know, we spend 2 million cedis, you know, per month, you know, on remunerations and all of, and the
just salaries and stuff,
and the logistics that are needed to go out and do the work, you know. And so because we do technical work, so that is expensive. Because if you want a permit, before I put my signature on your permit, the processes that it needs to go through, our people need to come and see where you want to do that thing. We ask you yourself to get a consultant, because if we put a consultant, you will contest our finding. But we have the expertise to review, and we know most of these consultants. So we say, get a consultant to do your work. The consultants know the report is coming to us, so they are not going to put their reputation on the line, because we have the expertise to scrutinize that work. They will bring it, and we have to review and make a decision. And most cases, we'll raise questions back to you. You have to go back, and you then have to bring a plan. And these days, more and more, we have decided that most cases, when it is industrial work, we would not permit until we do stakeholder engagement. The reason be because if we, in time past, some permits has created problems. That, for example, there's a filling station that has been permitted, but it's not too far from your residence. And one day you are going to scream.
And there are so many of them.
This is what we do.
There are so many of them right here in Accra. You go into a cluster, you know, an area with a cluster of houses, and you have a filling station right in the middle.
Going forward, this is no longer possible, because either you have been able to put all the safety measures in place such that it doesn't matter whatever happened, the people are protected, or you can't. Because these days what we do is to do stakeholder engagement. So you say you are going to put the filling station here. We are going to come and have a meeting with all the people around there in an open meeting and say, Akufo-Addo says he's putting the filling station here. We want to know what you guys think about it. What do you think? And everybody will have a say.
What then happens to those areas? I mean, I know the law is not retrospective, it is not retroactive.
Yeah.
But where you find dangerous situations, where there are such filling stations already existing in residential areas, in that new bill, or as you forecast, are there any mechanisms to deal with those? Because there would be ticking time bombs. You can put in all the protective measures. Disaster could still strike.
You know, how it works is, it is when people raise the issues. We don't know which filling station is where and is dangerous. But if people come with a petition or with an issue to say that, look, this is ABCD, we will send our people to go and investigate. Sometimes it may be true, sometimes it may not be true that it's posing a certain risk, or the client has taken all the necessary measures in place, and that can, you know, show that irrespective of what happened, the people around there are protected. Some of these measures, if we get to know that, no, if the risk is too high to allow the process to go on, we work very closely with the National Petroleum Authority, the Standards Authority, and all the other agencies that are also collectively regulating the sector. And so we would normally have a conversation around. And if all the regulatory agencies do agree that this is a risk, it will be closed down. A few of these stations have been closed down as a result of these kind of assessment. But again, until people draw our attention to what is untoward around these kind of things, we will not be able to know and to go out and take the needed action. But if it comes up, we will take action. I mean, this is Ghana. This is our country.
I get it. I want us to move on, but something came to mind, and it's been re-echoed for me. So you're saying that if people don't petition you in these instances, you would have no way of knowing that maybe there's a filling station or a fuel station in an unapproved place. In other words, until residents report to you, there's nothing you will do or can do?
No, not exactly the point, because these...
But that's how it sounded, so I needed clarity.
These clients and these people also have to... Because they have to renew permits. Permits are renewable. When you are going to renew your permit, you need to come up with a report on what has been happening there.
But Dr. Krugu, how do you even get a permit when you are not supposed to be in that place in the first place? How do you even get a permit to talk about renewing your permit? Do you get what I mean? The thing is wrong. The person has got a permit. It's like building on a waterway. The person has got a permit to build on a waterway. The person has got a permit to put a filling station in a residential area. You are saying we should wait till they are coming to renew. What if disaster strikes before they are coming to renew?
So it's a perception. You may be amazed that what you think that person has done is wrong, that if we go into the technical assessment, we can end up that no, there's no cause for alarm. So that's why I'm saying that until somebody then triggered that there is a cause for alarm. Because, like I told you, the EPA, very well-trained professionals. This is one of my respect for the EPA when I got there. Very well-trained, people who know what they're doing. And therefore, sometimes, look, recently, there was some issue around the Shy Hills area, and there was an alarm, and somebody brought pictures and brought reports and brought order. But to me, personally, when I called the respective officers and I said, go into this, you'll be amazed that eventually what they brought as a report is quite different from what these pictures were showing. And so sometimes people also want to sensationalize an issue and make it look like hell you know. But if you go into the details and you investigate and you apply the regulations, the standards, the protocols, you know, one of the things that I am happy that the EPA has done, and we can proudly celebrate these 50 years, is the availability of protocols, standards, regulations, guidelines on what almost everything you want to do. Right. If you come to the EPA, you will get that technical support. And so people go in to apply the technical lens in matters that the public may just think that, oh, this is, this is not right. But if you apply the guidelines, you come to that conclusion that it is not as you think.
All right, it may not be as you think. I want us to continue from there and focus on the declassification of some places. You would realize I was talking about the loss of forest cover earlier, and if you look at the last few years, between 2001 and 2003, the forest loss cover, you would look at the Western region, the highest affected, followed by the Ashanti region. Then you have the Eastern, Central, and Bono areas, all of them in a cluster, interestingly. Yeah. All these regions are in a cluster. Yeah. These are also mining regions by and large. The first two, looking at the Western region with 574 kilohectares, and then the Ashanti region with 382 kilohectares of those in there. You would realize that those two alone accounting for about 50+%, right? Now, here's where I situate it. The Forestry Commission has its role. The Ministry for Lands and Natural Resources has its role. But your role in all of this, I'm talking about the Achimota forest, for example, and its declassification. I'm talking about Ramsar sites getting compromised. I'm talking about parks and gardens property being sold off. How does it feel for you sitting there as CEO with all of these things happening? Look at the Achimota forest. It's a great contributor to our water table. It's a great, bastion when it comes to flooding, preventing flooding in Accra. Yeah. Look at what is happening.
Yes, but again, you need to appreciate the mandate of the EPA.
No, I just acknowledge that
if you have a declassified Achimota forest, you have to know that the EPA has no business going to that
I am fully aware of that. Because that is why I couched the question.
By law.
Answer my question.
Yes.
I couched, don't skirt the issues. I couched the question by saying, I know, Forestry Commission, Ministry for Lands and Natural Resources, but you have a role in there. That's why I asked, how do you feel sitting where you sit as CEO, EPA, and seeing all these things happening? What are your interactions with your colleagues on the other side?
Yes, so if we were the EPA Act 49, if that one had empowered EPA to be able to take on other agencies, then you can raise this question to me. But
I can't ask you how you feel with what you see from where you sit.
No, I can't be happy as a Ghanaian.
You are not happy?
To see, I can't be happy as a Ghanaian. I don't think there's anybody. But you see, what I'm saying is that if that place, by law, you cannot go and build your house there. So the EPA, the last place the EPA will think about is Achimota Forest. Because you need to have obtained a permit from somebody before you come to the EPA to say that because of what I'm going to do, I need you to give me a permit. But we know that that place, you cannot get a permit to go and do anything. So it is the last place people at EPA is going to think about. So places that by law you cannot go in, the EPA has to get busy with those who by law can do something, and we need to make sure that what they do, the environment is protected.
Are you in agreement with the declassification of the Achimota forest?
Yeah. Has the entire forest been declassified?
I am saying that whether portion or whole, are you in agreement with declassifying any portion of the Achimota forest?
I don't know the context within which.
Declassifying it, I mean, it goes far back. There have been concepts about using it for some sort of park, but with construction work, malls, and all of that. In recent, I mean, you remember the Sir John incident, some portions of it being willed out. Now there's been talk again about. In fact, I've had people from the Forestry Commission, workers, reach out to me, top officials, with their concerns, and government and everything. No, so I'm asking you. No,
construction of malls and things. I
are you for? Environmental groups say don't touch it is virgin, leave it as it is. Should we touch the forest in any way? Should we declassify a place like that?
I don't support that we declassify a place like that. Because, look, I have lived outside this country. And recently when I was in New York, I love to go and run in the Central Park in New York. So, for example, if you tell me that you want to do something similar, which in a more natural way, in a more sustainable way, and less destruction to the environment, but gives an opportunity for people to go and relax and walk around the trees and, you know, and gain some spiritual aspirations out of it, I will support that. Anything in the area of construction of malls and things, I can't support that because I've lived in places where I've seen what it means to have such a forest cover within the city. It provides, you can't get it better than that. So I think we should do everything possible to protect the places like that for the future generations as well.
Yeah. And in those areas, again, I know it doesn't fall necessarily under your purview, though you have an interest. In areas ravaged by galamsey, for example, and as we see more and more of the proliferation, interestingly, the very places I mentioned where you are seeing the largest losses of forest cover, there's a nexus between the loss of forest cover and illegal mining activities.
Yeah.
What is the EPA doing collaboratively with the other institutions of state to resolve the matter?
Yes, so I think just working with other institutions of state and playing our role of supervising and ensuring that there is restoration of these lands that has been destroyed and reclaiming these lands and making sure there is revegetation activities going on. That is what we do. In fact, to be honest with you, I was in the Western region and I became much more worried because sometimes we are looking at minerals like gold, but I discovered kaolin because there are a number of factories that are producing tiles in the Western region.
Yeah.
They depend mainly on kaolin. And there are a lot of illegal activities around kaolin, which is also just destroying as people who are also looking
They are mining in the Western region.
Yes, you know, and the rate at which, because in their case, there's also a big market for kaolin now because you have more than 2-3 factories that are producing tiles, and all of us want to have nice tiles in our thing. And so these companies, they depend on kaolin. That's their main raw material. And so a lot of galamsey is also happening, which has nothing to do with gold and the things we have known in the past. So I think that but I've told you that anytime you mention galamsey, by the grace of God, I got properly trained. I got an opportunity to coordinate a national project that we're looking at landscape restoration and small-scale mining. And now I've been transitioned to the EPA. And the combination of my experiences in these two agencies, if you ask me, what can we do about galamsey? My answer is very simple, which is that we need to do everything possible to formalize the sector. One of the biggest challenges we've had so far has been if we take a cane and we say we are looking for whoever is doing galamsey to ship that person. this process has not worked over the years.
So what do? Let them do it, but let's regulate them. That's what you're saying.
Thank you. If we let every Ghanaian know that by law, it is your right to do small-scale mining. In fact, it is preserved for only Ghanaians. If you are not a Ghanaian, you cannot go get a license to go and do small-scale mining.
But that's a fine line you're walking. There is legitimate small-scale mining, and some people are involved in that.
Yes.
And there is galamsey, which is something totally different.
Thank you. So what we need to do is to bring this group of people doing galamsey to the legitimate small-scale mining, and we will not see the problems.
How do you think that can be achieved?
Well, I think the steps has been taken. Even the project I coordinated, the Minerals Commission, has been doing a lot of work. And this is where I say that you guys in the media, if you don't see a decommissioning of an excavator and fire burning and things, you say that the galamsey fight has died. But there's a lot of work around this to make sure that the sector is formalized. The Minerals Commission is doing an excellent work. As I speak to you now, Ghana Geological Survey Authority is in the field conducting geological survey. You know what that means? Because people go around digging, and when they cannot find what they are looking for, they will leave and go somewhere else to start digging because they have no interest and motivation of filling in what the dark out that they've created, because they have spent energy and resources, they got nothing. So they are more interested in where else can we get something rather than to restore what they've done. Now the Geological Survey Authority is in the field conducting very detailed geological investigation at almost everywhere that has been suspected that there is a mineral. And they are going to bring that report. What it then means.
When is this report going to be ready? We are always futuristic with these things, and it takes forever. When will this report be ready?
This one, they do and report. They are not going to wait until the whole country is covered.
When was the last report you saw?
I think a report from the Dunkwa area is ready, for example, and they are continuing their work. So when you now apply that you want to go to that area to do mining, you will now be directed to the specific place where, because of the detailed scientific work, we say, don't go around digging, go here. That is where we think you can get something. Then if you go there, because you can get something, we think, then we can also ask you to post a bond. So that if you run away, we will have your resources to restore the area. That is what I say, the process of formalizing. Get everybody who is hungry and think that by digging the earth, he will get something, to say that, look, we make it easier for you to get a license. That process has already been done because you can just apply right sitting in your bedroom on your phone. You can go to the Minerals Commission website and start your entire application process. And you can pay through Ghana.gov. So you don't need to be moving from one agency to another and chasing people and things like that. That is part of the formalization process that has begun. As I speak to you now, there are consultants working to do what we call the one-stop shop. Link the EPA, Water Resources Commission, and Minerals Commission on one online platform. Part of the things that His Excellency the Vice President has done to this country, the digitalization process, put these three agencies in one platform so that you would not have to move from one agency to another.
Okay.
When the process is done at the Minerals Commission, they will click a button and it will pop up in somebody's computer at the EPA, and they would also do their processing. You can do any kind of payment through Ghana.gov. And so you don't need to move. That is part of the process of formalizing the sector. So if there can be a land that has been investigated and can be allocated to you with the detailed information sufficient, also more importantly, you need that kind of information to be able to go to the banks and take a loan to go in, because part of the problem why you see some Ghanaians even go for a concession and go looking for other nationals to come, it's about investment. When you get the concession, mining is an expensive endeavor. If you don't have the resources to go and mine, and you cannot get a loan, you will go and look for who has the resources to do that. And then you end up seeing that there's a different national there, and you think that they are the one with the permit to do. No, nobody has permitted them, but it's about resources. But before you go to the bank and also get a loan, what you are holding must be detailed and sufficient so that the banks know that, okay, if I give you money, I see that there's something.
The likelihood of repayment is.
So it's that whole work
Right.
that is ongoing to make sure the formula is formalized.
There are two other issues I want us to look at before we wrap, but let's start with air quality and air pollution. It's becoming problematic. Every now and then we see spikes, especially in Accra, when it comes to air quality. And there are times when we've been one of the topmost countries in the world when it comes to air pollution. There are bands within which we fall. But generally, Accra is pretty, the air quality has issues. You look at exhaust fumes, something we often take for granted, but a lot of the trotros and the vehicles that go around, exhaust fumes. We don't take it seriously in this part of the world. There are people, those who makeshift abattoirs, people burning, all these things in there. On the matter of air quality, what is the role of the EPA? How much attention do you pay to it? Because it appears it's free for all.
No, it's not.
It's not,
It's not free for all.
It's not.
The EPA is paying utmost attention to air quality. And you are right when you talk about exhaust fumes, because there's also scientific data available to show that the quality of air along major roads, are the poorest. So, but I tell you what's going on. There has been air quality sensors, monitoring sensors, equipment over the years. And some of these equipments have become obsolete. Some of them are not functioning very well. We have taken steps to
which steps?
Get new low-cost sensors to install, and even as I speak, in my residence, work is going on to install a new monitoring, and we want to have many more monitors around, that can make us detect any changes in the quality of air and quickly investigate to know where the pollution is coming from and take the needed steps. We are also hoping that this whole emissions levy and all of those things can bring in the resources that we need to be able to. And also working with the Ministry of Roads and Transport, I think you have seen so much effort towards, shifting away from fossil fuels, although my latest discovery, the impact this whole campaign have had on the oil sector is quite huge. Ghana's oil industry came on board quite late into the thing, and now Paris Agreement, many investors are not willing to invest into the oil sector. So we know that the oil sector is not getting the needed investment. It has its own implications. But this is all part of the attempt to shift away from fossil fuels, and that will lead into us having much more cleaner air for us to breathe. But the EPA is taking serious steps, installing sensors, and very soon you would even here we are working with private partners to recently the PPP Secretariat at the Ministry of Finance, the committee gave an approval for us to work with a private entity that will also enhance and increase our monitoring of the quality of the air that we breathe and any other emissions into the environment.
I see.
Yeah.
Let's... All this talk about fossil fuels and all of that also pushes me in the direction of what our COPs have been dealing with over time, COP26, COP27, climate change, and its ramifications. Unfortunately for us, while a lot of the pollution has happened in the temperate world, we're in the tropical end of things, and we suffer the brunt of it. So you would notice that our climate, the temperatures have been rising. In the other spheres, you have glaciers melting at a faster rate, sea levels rising, and all of that. As far as the EPA is concerned, break it down for us. How desperate is the situation when it comes to climate change in Ghana? And what should we all know? What should we all be doing to arrest the situation?
Well, I mean, the question of how desperate this is the situation of climate change should have been answered 10 years ago. We have crossed that question. We are in the reality of climate change. It is not a future phenomenon. It's happening. My old lady in the village is able to tell me, maybe she doesn't know that we call it a sexy name, climate change, but she says, hey, I see that this is not how this used to be. This is changing. Sometimes he asks me, do you know why this is like this? Because this is not how it used to be.
And its impact on global warming,
Exactly.
its impact on even crops.
Exactly.
Because if they are farming, they will feel the impact. The rain is not coming when it's supposed to come.
Exactly.
Our crops are getting burnt up.
Exactly. The good news is that Ghana has taken climate change serious. There's a national plan on dealing with...
How effective has that plan been?
Both adaptation and mitigation measures are being implemented by various sectors because it's a multi-sectoral approach. We host the secretariat of the UNFCCC that organizes this COP every now and then, and the next COP is coming in November. Yesterday, I was in a meeting with the second lady. You know that she's also championing this aspect, and we were discussing, what...
Is our president still head of the Climate Vulnerable Forum?
Yes.
Is he still head of the Climate Vulnerable
Forum? In fact, no, she's not.
No, I'm talking of Nana Addo.
He's not the head.
Because I know a few years ago, about 2 years ago...
He's no longer the head, but the good news is that he has been able to bring the secretariat to Ghana. The international secretariat is based in Ghana. So I think, I've forgotten, but the former president of one of the countries is the
current head.
Yes, in the secretariat. And he has moved to Ghana because the secretariat is in Ghana. So Ghana is taking these matters very serious. I think the good thing that is happening is that investments are moving away from fossil fuels. But these investments are going into carbon market. Okay, so this is where we would then have the opportunity to have the needed investment to deal with the adaptation and mitigation measures. And carbon market development has become a big issue right now. And I encourage every guy.
We're talking about carbon credits. Some people are buying, others are selling.
Absolutely. Yeah. So if you can go and acquire a huge portion of land, or all these degraded places that we are talking about, if you can reclaim it and revegetate, you will get investment to do it because somebody is holding the money. They're looking for carbon credit to buy. And it is a huge competition out there because multinationals have to show. When all these COP is not for nothing. When you go to all these COP...
I mean, there's a lot of lobbying and...
Thank you. People have to show what have they contributed to mitigate. And not everywhere can you get land to grow tree. So all these multinationals are holding their money. They look, if you have trees, you have 100 acres of trees, and you can put it on the carbon market that this is what you have, you'll be amazed How many people will fly from different countries looking for you because they want to claim credit from your trees? And then they can then go and show that this is what we are doing to contribute, you know. So it's a big area. The good thing is that it's bringing the needed investment to Africa.
Okay.
And African countries are taking steps. Ghana, we have the carbon registry in my office. If you want to develop a carbon credit development project, you come, you register, you get all the needed technical guidance, and then you can go into it.
Okay.
Protect the environment.
Let's look at the final point, which is pretty relevant, maybe saving the best for last, sanitation. A lot of the flooding and everything that we talk about, and even our health. Accra, and I'm sorry to say this, we said we would make it the cleanest city in Africa. It's a far cry. I mean, it's not as though nothing had been done, but it's a far cry from there. Sanitation is a chronic problem, especially in Accra, but in other parts of the country. Look, there are times when even around the Jubilee House, people have, you know, there have been heaps of rubbish, and many years ago. The sanitation problem, how do we get it right? And then we can get into a bit of Zebela constituency. I know you are gunning for that seat, and what your plans are. But let's start with sanitation.
Yes, you know, and I agree with you if you say that we are far from getting Accra as a cleaner city. I've lived in cleaner cities, so I have an idea of what a cleaner city will look like. We are nowhere there. I think the problem in this country is it's about who we are as a people. And sometimes you think it's the politician or is the agency leader or is this who is not doing. I think it's we as a people, because if you take, and it's the reason why.
But who makes the people do the right thing? I always say, nobody likes taxes. Why do people pay taxes elsewhere without? Because if you don't fulfill your tax obligations,
you know that
the taxman will be at your doorstep. People go and there are mechanized fuel pumps and all of that. Why does no one? Because if you do it, there are cameras everywhere. You will pay through the nose for. So if you compel people to do the right thing, they'll do it.
It is us as a people. Look, almost
you lived through the days of Tankasi,
wait,
did you not?
Almost.
You lived through the days of Tankasi, did you not?
Yes.
The town councils that they called Tankasi.
Yes.
Why were they effective?
Yes.
Because if you don't do it, Tankasi will come to your house and you will get a summons.
I agree. You see, and I hope it happened under democracy. You know, almost every regional minister of Greater Accra and Accra mayor easily becomes unpopular just by taking the right steps.
It's because politicians want to pander.
No.
You are afraid. You're always thinking of votes.
No.
You're always thinking of votes.
It's we as a people. I can bet my last penny that if a regional minister, Accra mayor, take a measure that affects your wife's sister or something, it will end up that you are a media guy, you are popular. The sister is going to come to you and say, as for you, you are popular. So
everybody knows I don't.
You have to lead the delegation.
I don't use my influence for that.
So the point I want to make is that it's us as a people. I agree with you. We can do much better. And even here in Africa, some examples are there. And I think that we can do much better. But because when you have a structural problem like what we have in Accra, that these problems has existed over the years, you now have to take drastic measures to be able to deal with it. Anybody, and check the media, any Accra mayor or a regional minister who comes on board would install something. The Honorable Henry Porte said he had this clean Accra, make Accra clean thing. Past people have done that. I've heard my good friend, the new one, also beginning to talk like that. Now, it is we the people.
Titus Love.
Yes, we the people. We would send the chief and send the delegation. We say that no, this is our day.
So we should focus on ourselves.
So we as a people, and that's why I'm saying that the good thing is some of these things are now getting into our educational curriculum.
Okay.
I hope it will produce a different set of Ghanaians.
All right, let's cap off the conversation. We have to go. Zabila, what are your hopes there, and how are you approaching the election?
Well, I think
trying to become MP.
Yeah, I clearly have a difficult task ahead to winning that seat. I'm not.
You have your work cut out for you.
Yes, I am not in doubt that the Zabila seat is an NDC stronghold, and you know that the venerable Cletus Avoka has been in the political space since 1992, when he went to
foothold.
When he went to Parliament, I was not yet in secondary school, you know. So you can then, and he has served in different portfolios in government, even including the majority leader in Parliament. He served in the ministry I'm working now, and the former ministry I was working, the Minister for Land.
So what are you saying?
What I'm saying is that over the period, he has been able to establish the NDC strongly in the constituency. So I am aware of this, that I am in a battle for my life. I don't take every step I take for granted. But also for the same reason, I am fighting nail and tooth to win the seat, because I believe that I have something to offer. My experiences, not only in Ghana, in Europe, but also in other African countries, by the grace of God, being to other 18 African and Asian countries to do some work, some consultancy work or some partnership thing, and having worked in Europe, and having been trained as a public health expert, having worked as a development practitioner, I think I bring a lot to the table. And the initiative that I've taken there, I've not been working all around the world and forgetting where I come from. Establishing an NGO since 2002. I came out of school in 2001 from KNUST, and 2002, I had established the Youth Harvest Foundation Ghana. Today is working not just in the Upper East region, but in other regions of the North. You know, 2 years ago, I went to campuses and I became so sad. I established a scholarship fund. And this year alone, close to 50 students have benefited from that scholarship fund. Because, you see, there's one problem we haven't taken notice of. With the free senior high school education, many, many young people who otherwise would have not had any chance to go to secondary school got the chance to go now. Now, these are coming from homes like where I came from, the most vulnerable. But they have now finished senior high school. They have to go to tertiary. And there's no free tertiary education. So for them, it looks like this is the end of the world.
That is the end of the world.
And we need social safety systems to support these people to be able to get their aspirations. And I put that in place. Becoming a candidate, when I was moving around campaigning to become a candidate.
We really have to go.
Yeah,
You're optimistic you can win.
Moving around to become a candidate, I got to places where they fetch water for me to drink. And you know, politically, you have to drink this water, but you know that this is not drinkable water.
Yeah, it's not potable.
And I took a decision that I would drill boreholes for these places. And
but I just want you to make this
over
point.
80 of these boreholes.
Regardless of everything and the clout of Cletus Avoka, you think you can beat him, right?
No, the good thing is that he's not.
He's no longer there, right?
Yes.
He's not standing again.
He's not contested.
It's a different candidate you have.
It's a different candidate altogether. I mean.
So that's where you find your joy. You are hoping that since it's not Cletus.
I think the people should look at the two of us and measure us. And I've told people that this election is not an NDC NPP line. It is about who is John Krugu and who is the other colleagues. There is no one. There's also an independent candidate.
Doctor.
It's a fight for my life.
Dr. John Krugu,
and I'm
grateful.
Optimistic that the people will crown me victory.
All right. We're grateful for your time. He is Executive Director, Environmental Protection Agency. He just joined us for this conversation. Before we veer into the next conversation, before we get into the talk about any apology or anything of the sort, and what the Finance Minister, Dr. Amin Adam, has been saying. The Energy Commission and the Ministry of Energy present the 5th edition of the Energy Commission Senior High Schools Renewable Energy Challenge. This challenge aims at developing the research skills of senior high school students and promoting technological innovation in renewable energy. Now, the competing schools for the northern sector are Ola Girls SHS, St. James Seminary SHS, Nkranza Technical Institute YSHS, Indewura Jakpa SHS, Dabokba Technical Institute, Notre Dame Seminary SHS, and Wale Wale SHTS. The competing schools for the southern sector are Ahantaman Girls SHS, Infantapim School, Wesley Grammar SHS, St. Rose's SHS, Kpando SHS, Rara SHS, Obwasi SHTS, and Wale Wale SHTS. Join us for the Northern Zonal Challenge on Saturday, the 10th of August, 2024. It's taking place at noon, 12 p.m., live on Joy News at the Engineering Auditorium at the KNUST Kumasi, and at the Great Hall on Monday, 12th of August, 2024, at 10 a.m. for the Southern Zonal Challenge. This event is proudly supported by GIZ, Ashesi University, and the VRA. The media partner is Joy News. Well, do stay with us. When we return, we'll be talking about that apology from the Finance Minister, who says basically, we're sorry for the domestic debt exchange program, but no government means to visit hardship, suffering on its people. But in the end, it has happened anyway. We ask, what is the value of an apology? Is it enough? Does it suffice to mitigate the suffering of the people? That conversation coming up next on the AM show. Do stay.
Domestic debt exchange program was a very successful program, achieving 95% participation. And on this note, I would like to appeal to the people of Ghana to forgive us. To forgive us. It is never the intention of any government to impose hardships on its people. It was a necessary, very important decision at the time that if we avoided it, our economy will not recover such as it has recovered today. But also to thank you, the people of Ghana, to thank you on behalf of the President for the sacrifices, for the efforts that you all have made in participating in the domestic debt exchange program that saved our economy. And so I thank you very much for that support you gave to the government.
We have it. That's the Finance Minister, Dr. Amin Adam, expressing some apologies to the people of Ghana for the economic woes that we are facing. But that apology has come under scrutiny. The bondholders, the Pensioner Bondholders Forum, are saying that the apology will not suffice. There's more to be done than saying sorry. Let's discuss this. Dr. Edu Anane is convener of the Pensioners and Bondholders Forum, and he joins us now via Zoom. Doc, good morning to you, and it's good to have you. It's good to have you in this. Good morning. Okay. So, what exactly are your concerns in terms of, first, the apology that the Finance Minister is offering to us Ghanaians, and then the concerns of the Pensioners Bondholders Forum? Situate your issues for me this morning. Doc, if you can hear me, unmute. Okay, we're trying to get Dr. Edu Anane back on the line, but not too long ago, the former Deputy Finance Minister Akufo-Addo said that indeed, not just the NPP, but politicians need to apologize or make amends for where the country has been driven into now. I'm talking about in terms of our development trajectory, we are not doing well. And the politics, the kind of politics we practice, needs some more work to be done. Not long ago after that, there was that Kennedy-Japan statement, or, you know, telling politicians that if they don't make amends for the economic woes we are facing in this country, Ghanaians will not listen to them, or the voting population will not listen to what they're saying.
The move by the central bank marked the most.
Whether or not that influenced the apology we got from the finance minister yesterday is a question that needs to be answered. But that apology has come, and it doesn't seem to sit well with a lot of people because, and I listened to Dr. Eduana Nientri yesterday, and he says that when someone slaps you and then apologizes afterwards, it doesn't mean you don't feel the effects of the slap. Let's try and get back on the phone with him and see if we can have this conversation. Dr. Eduana Nientri is the convener for the Pensioners and Bondholders Forum, and we are still trying to connect with him. But their issue is that government has not actually paid all the coupons that they promised to pay them. These pensioners are still struggling to get their own money back. If the finance minister is saying that the domestic debt exchange program achieved 95% participation, which was very necessary to take the country out from the situation we were in to some sort of normalcy, because we are on the way to economic recovery. But that, they're saying, is not enough. Dr. Eduana Nientri joins me now via Zoom. Doc, let's try this again. I was asking you to situate your issues for me this morning. First, on the back of that apology that the finance minister gave, and then what the concerns of the pensioner bondholders are.
Well, thank you. I think I've said that traditionally and culturally, we expect people who have done you something wrong to apologize. Sometimes we even drag people to the chiefs to seek that apology. So making an apology or rendering an apology is acceptable traditionally and culturally. And so it is good if you do something and you see that it has affected your brother or sister and you apologize for that. So that is an acceptable practice in our society. But I keep on saying that the fact that you have apologized doesn't mean the wound or the trouble that you have caused your fellow human being get healed. And we have an adage in Akan which says, "Kose kose inkum ikru." Ikru means a sore. So if somebody has done you something and has created a sore on your body, and the person keep on saying, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry," our elders say it doesn't heal that wound or that sore that has been created. So that is the apology. Accepted, but it doesn't heal or cure the problem that you have caused. So that's all that I can say. Apology will be accepted, but you should know that that is not going to cure the sore or the wound that you have afflicted on your brother or sister.
Right. And the Locked Up Investment Forum Holders Forum have also resumed picketing. Talk to me about that. You're picketing at the Finance Ministry. What are your demands as we speak?
You mean the previous picketing or the current picketing?
The current picketing.
The current picketing is about the Locked Up Investment.
Right.
Yes. We are making some progress. Yes, last week we sent a letter to the ministry after we have realized that the government cannot make any our concern. And so we have sent a letter to the finance ministry that the government provided for 4 billion in the budget to take care of NIB recapitalization, and then the legacy issues, which mainly are the customers of fund management companies, including Google's fund managers, Black Shield, who have still not been paid. They were paid $50,000 previously. And then part of the amount was also going to be used to address the distress specialized deposit-taking institutions, which includes the companies that we have our investment in, Bailey, NDK Financial Services, and Bond Savings and Loans, SDC Financial Services, and SIC Life Savings and Loans. The two SIC Life Savings and Loans and Bond SDC say they have another way of managing the problem. But NDK,
what is this other way they are proposing?
Bond Savings and Loans do not have any other way of managing until the government gives them a bailout. So The two of them
Dr.
have 2.2 billion
Doc, can you hear me?
owed to investors, which are locked up. And these lock-up funds mainly belong to the retirees. People are not saving in this country when they are young. It's only when they get older that they save.
You said they are proposing other ways of managing this debt. And I'm asking, what are the other ways they are proposing, if you can hear me? Looks like we're having some network challenges in connecting with Doc, but he was just telling us about the current picketing that has resumed, and that is for the locked up investment holders forum, and they're saying that up till now they don't know whether or not their monies are going to be released, and they need these monies. It is theirs. And so some of them have proposed. He said SIC and SD. Okay, we have him back on the line. Doc, you were saying SIC and SDC are saying they have other ways of managing this debt. They're proposing other ways. I was asking you to elaborate more on these other ways they're proposing. What are they saying?
SIC Life Savings and Loans.
Right.
SIC Life Savings and Loans says they are a government institution. It's owned by SIC Life Insurance. And so they are saying they are talking to government to give them more capital so that they can address these issues. And then SDC Financial Services is also saying that they have a lot of funds with the Ministry of Finance in the form of certificates that they have to pay on to their contractors. So if the government pays all that amount to SIC, SDC, Savings Life, SDC Financial Services, they can pay every client that they owe. So if you take those two out, then we have the NDK, and then bond savings and loans. And that's why we are now concentrating on the two, which their figure is the 2.2 that we are talking about. And we are saying if the government has provided for 4 billion, and then is using 2.3 for NIB's recapitalization, and another 1.5 to pay the legacy issues, which includes Google's fund management or Black Shield capital management clients. Then there's a balance of only 200 million.
Right.
And we have written a letter to the government that at least you should start using that 200 million to resolve.
Have you got any response from the government so far?
Yes, yesterday we went to meet them. We went there on the picketing. We went there to find out what is happening because we don't want the letter to be there and not seeing any results, because we have said that the 2.3 that the government is allocating to NIB is too much at this time. Under these current circumstances, there is no need to give 2.3 billion to NIB and allow your citizens, mainly retirees and sick people, to go without their medication. So I assist NIB, but not to the tune of 2.3 billion, so that you can free resources that can go around and settle these lockup funds that are due to mainly these pensioners and the sick people who are requiring these funds from their savings to take care of their medication.
And that is why you think the apology is not enough. Yes, accepted, but what you actually need is for your monies to be released, correct?
Yes, the apology is for the debt exchange program, but not what is happening now. And you can link it that if you are apologizing for what has caused people some pain, then try and resolve the current issue, which is also causing people some pains.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Edouard Nanientwi, and he's the convener for Pensioners Bondholders Forum, and he was sharing his concerns with us this morning. There's still a lot coming on your way on the AM show. Don't go away. Welcome back on the AM show. But before we get into this next round of conversations, let me remind you that if you're stressed out about your cleaning needs, worry no more. Because Dance World Services is your one-stop shop that meets all your commercial and residential cleaning needs. From pest control, janitorial and house cleaning, event cleaning and waste management, carpet or sofa, etc. And whether at home or at work, we understand and know how haptic cleaning can be coupled with your busy lifestyle. And we've got great news for you. Dansworld Environmental and Facility Management Services has got you covered. And we excel in whatever we do, leaving you beyond expectation. Here's how you can locate us: at Excel House, opposite Regiminal Estate in Nungwa Barrier, or simply call 0302 905 538 or 0555 752361. Dansworld Services, beyond expectations. Let's have a conversation on Heritage Christian College. And it's a Christian university college that is set up to provide a missing link in the tertiary education through creativity and innovation. And the university has since 2018 given a sum of over 450,000 Ghana cedis as startup grants to a number of its students to start their businesses. But in the studio with me this morning is Professor Williams Atulek, and he's Vice President and Provost of the Heritage Christian University College. Prof, good morning. Good morning. It's good to have you in the studio.
It's always a pleasure to be here.
Okay. So how exactly is Heritage Christian University College helping students excel with the right mindset and to create change in the workplace?
Well, thank you very much, and good morning to your viewers. We do this in three ways. First, through a values-driven kind of education, where we emphasize on values, conviction, character, creativity, community, and compassion.
Okay.
So the entire process of providing education, we put emphasis on values. Second, creativity and innovation, particularly with emphasis on entrepreneurial innovation. And so regardless of whatever we offer you, we just want you to complete your program with creativity and to be able to solve problems around whatever you have studied. And then the use of technology. The entire campus is wired with Wi-Fi, and every student gets to learn using the technologies that are available. And we think that these kinds of platforms that we have created will help our students to be ready when they are done through their program.
You mentioned creativity like 3 times. Do you think it's pivotal in positioning these students for the world of work?
Absolutely.
How so?
Absolutely. The world has changed. The world today is very different from just a couple of years back. Yeah. And so if you don't apply your creative mind, which has been so freely given to us by God, you cannot survive in the current world dynamics. And so our emphasis on creativity is very, very important.
Okay, and you also said you have Wi-Fi all over, so obviously you are abreast with the technological advancements of the world. Yeah. So given the speed at which technology is developing, educational programs must be up to date. You
Absolutely.
agree? How are you executing that mandate?
Our programs are very current. We are accredited by the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, and the programs are constantly reviewed by top-notch professionals.
Okay.
And so the programs are current. But again, we deliver the programs with a touch of emphasis on values, then also with creativity, as I have already told you.
Right.
We use design thinking models in many of the things that we do, just helping our students, whatever their fields are, to appreciate that ultimately education is intended to solve problems. So how do you apply whatever that you are learning to solve human problems? And there are so many problems around us. And we believe that that is the kind of missing link we have in our educational system, where we memorize a lot and
rote learning,
just rote learning, chew and pour and forget. and so when you get into the work environment, you can hardly apply. And so critical thinking, using design thinking methodologies to apply to whatever space you find yourself, aimed mainly at solving problems. That's what we offer at Heritage.
So critical thinking, practical learning, creativity, this is what you are doing differently. Share some success stories with us.
Well, one of the things that we are very pleased that we have been able to do is the emphasis on entrepreneurship.
Okay.
Where our students, regardless of the program that they are learning, we encourage them to start something. And so we give them the opportunity through our business incubator, the CEP, we call it, Center for Entrepreneurship, Philanthropy and Ethics, to come up with business ideas, and we take them through a process. And when these are found feasible, we support them with cash grants and technical support using people who have great experience in the kinds of business ideas that they have presented. And we've done over 20 student-led businesses, which are at different levels of upscale, and we are very happy with that.
Okay, give them one. Just let's put a name to it.
Oh yes, so we have Possess Farms, for example.
Okay.
Possess Farms is a poultry, business located in the central region, and they have done quite well, and they have upscaled, quite. We have Geotes, which is an interior decoration company started by one of our students. Okay. We have a number of them, and we are very pleased with that. We hope that we will be able to upscale and increase the number of student-led businesses. And in 2018, we won the Global Social Innovation Challenge, which is a social innovation challenge in the University of San Diego in the USA.
Oh, okay.
Among over 53, competing universities,
right.
Many of them from Ivy League universities. So we have made
that your students are able to compete with the rest of the world on
absolutely.
The same level.
And they came up with the best. They were adjudged the best students
right.
With that kind of innovative idea to convert fecal matter into charcoal used as fuel. And the factory has been set up by these students. And
is it commercialized?
It's commercial, and it's in the process of upscale.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
In the world of work these days, there's a lot of emphasis on soft skills, so that you can work with a team, collaborative efforts here and there. How are you also drumming that point home?
We address this one through what we call General Assembly. Every day of the week, we take 1 hour of the day between 11 and 12 and assemble all of us, the entire community, to reflect on some soft skills and issues, and to discuss different kinds of issues that affect humanity, which helps in a long way in improving the soft skills of our students. We do practitioner fora, where we invite people from industry to come and share perspectives of industry with the entire community.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of different kinds of avenues that we provide our students, even through classroom interactions to build their... And our final year student, we do some kind of arrangement where we camp them after their final exams to give them orientation about the world of work and how to integrate into society.
Yes,
and,
so that they are not just students who've passed, but you can immerse them into the world of work and industry.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about admission, open and close dates, entry requirements, and all that.
Well, admission is ongoing. You can reach us, you go to our website, hcuc.edu.gh, and you can reach us on telephone.
That's what you have on your screens now.
Okay, so 054-777-7731. The sevens are 5.
Easy to remember.
It's very easy to remember. 054-7, there are 5 of them, 5 sevens and 31. So admission is ongoing. We offer programs in various fields: nursing and midwifery, business in its variants, different variants, IT, we are very heavy in IT, theology, psychology, and a number of different programs.
Okay, so is it only through the websites that you can apply? Do you accept walk-ins, maybe someone?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
And we are located,
where do we locate? Yeah.
We are located at Amasaman, on your way to Nsawam, off the Olympic Stadium at Amasaman.
All right.
Yeah.
Prof, your final words before we go.
Well, if you are somebody looking to enter university, or you are a parent looking to send your ward to the university, and you want education that is values-driven, and you want education that prepares your ward or your child to be ready for work, and education that emphasizes creativity and innovation, look no further. Just look towards Heritage Christian University College at Amasaman. We work with the students. We inspire them to dream and to act and to accomplish their dreams. There are small-size classes that give opportunity for faculty to closely interact with the students. All of it, the end game is our students should be ready either to start their own businesses or to be able to deliver effectively in the work environment.
Thank you so much, Professor Williams Atulek, and he's Vice President and Provost of Heritage Christian University College. Thank you for coming.
You're most welcome. Thank you very much for having me.
All right. So before I go, your favorite podcast show, you know what I'm talking about, Bus Stop Diaries, now airs every Saturday at 4 p.m. on the Joy News channel. You can also watch and listen to all our episodes on the Joy News YouTube channel, myjoyonline.com, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. So grab a chill drink and join us for another exciting journey filled with trending buzz. I'll be right back with more. We are back again on your screens, but before we get chit-chatty, let me remind you to escape to Royal Cozy Hills Hotel, Japa, Dubai. You've seen the rest, it's now time to see the best. Take a break from work and take a break from the south. The Royal Cozy Hills Hotel, Japa, Dubai, is the best place to relax, rewind, and re-energize. It is away from the stress of the south. And what awaits you at Japa, Dubai? Unforgettable safari experience, amazing array of wildlife, including lions, zebras, hippopotamuses, ostriches, and many others, using our spacious and well-secured game tour vehicles or quad bikes. There is water sports, such as jet skiing, boat and canoe rides, etc. There are various family games to keep you and your families excited all day long, as well as great tourist attractions in the Upper West region, like the Mushroom Rock and Slave Caves. So, escape from the south, escape to the north, escape to Royal Cozy Hills Hotel, Japa, Dubai, for an unforgettable safari experience. Here are their call lines: 050-169-4280 or 024-88-44463. For reservations and further inquiries, call them now. Here we are at nearly the end of the day. Benjamin Akakbo, what's on your mind?
What's on my mind? Pretty interesting, the discussion I had with Dr. Krugu, Executive Director of the EPA, and where we find ourselves in terms of our environment in Ghana. I'm just hoping that bill will go through and that we can see better times for environmental protection in our country. Beyond that, it's been an interesting day. It's been an interesting Thursday, and the discussions we've had. One of my chief takeaways from Dr. Edu Anani Enchi, Kose Nkukru, that was an interesting one for me. Oh, I'm sorry, we can accept it, but that's on the back of the conversation you had. But pretty good show.
It made a lot of sense, because if you slap someone, it doesn't mean they don't feel the pain anymore.
Especially if the person lost a tooth.
Yeah, that would be painful. So yeah, and I know that the president and the vice presidents cannot come out and say that they're sorry. They can't come and tell us.
But why is that? That's the whole point. Why can't they do it?
So now it fell on the finance minister. I mean, and also because it's his jurisdiction, they're talking about economic woes, and he's the minister of finance. So it's on him now to come and make amends. Meanwhile, he's been there barely 4-5 months.
So the question is, what is he apologizing for?
For the economic woes, for the hardships that they according to him. So it says, basically say, mea culpa, our fault, we are sorry.
No, but it's not a mea culpa.
But that's what he said.
No, it is not a mea culpa. It is, we are sorry, but it's not our fault.
For the hardship we are imposing on you.
We are sorry, but it's not our fault. We had to do that so that you would eventually get better. Oh, we're giving you chemotherapy. Your hair is falling off, with all respect to anybody. But we have to do this so that you'll survive. The question is, how did the cancer come about? They keep saying Russia, Ukraine, COVID-19, not we overborrowed, we have been corrupt, this and that. So it's important. What is he apologizing for?
For the economic hardship. But let me send out this dedication. It says, happy birthday to my sweetest mom, Madam Ruth Abedu Kennedy, who works at ShopRite, Accra Mall branch. And may the good Lord continue to bless and protect you. May all your heart's desires be granted in Jesus' name. And this is from your lovely daughter, Dorcas of Adom Online, your loved ones, and the Abedu Kennedy family. They say they love you. Happy birthday to you, sweetest mom, Madam Rhoda Ruth Abedu Kennedy. Any dedications from your end?
Not from my end, but I would add an amen to that. I heard some in Jesus' name. There was no amen, so
there was no amen.
I'm adding the amen.
All right, then I think that's our show, Benjamin.
Well, that's how we're capping it off, and we're looking forward to getting your company tomorrow as well on the AM show. There's a lot of excitement coming your way up next on Joy News Desk. Special guest, critical issues to discuss. You don't want to miss it. But from Benjamin Akakpo and
Sweetie Abochi, see you tomorrow.